after a pretty epic race at Sebring last time out, we head across the Atlantic and head to northern France for round number 8 of the World GT Championship, coming to you from Circuit de la Sarthe, otherwise more notably known as Le Mans. And welcome along to World GT Championship. My name is Paul Smith. I am not joined by Peter Mackay. Instead, it's a return for 1 week for Chaz Draycott. Chaz, welcome back to the series, and welcome back to the madhouse that is World GT.
It certainly is a madhouse, Paul. It's been a long time, to be honest. It feels like ages since I've been away from it all. It's fantastic to be back for tonight and one night only, and what a place to do it as well. Circuit de la Sarthe. We have had so many amazing race meetings with this championship over the last few years. You and I commentating on it, racing on it together as well. It's a brilliant place to be back, and I'm very grateful to be back here on RaceSpotTV.
Of course, we've got 2 feature races, 2 40-minute races with a mandatory pit stop. A little bit of strategy to play out there. There's the calendar as we are. You see, we're at Circuit de la Sarthe this week. Next week, we head on to 3 sprint races around Mossport, which I'm really looking forward to. It's an underrated track as Mossport. Then Watkins Glen, Hockenheim, and to finish off the season, the Red Bull Ring, where everyone will be praying to whichever deity that they do pray to, because the last time we went to the Red Bull Ring, it was a bit of a mess. Yes. But we look forward to tonight and look at the championship, the Pro Championship standings at the moment. It is Luke McEwen who leads that one by 66 points over Ross McFarlane. Jack Sedgwick in 3rd place then is 117 points behind your championship leader, with Josh Thompson dropping down to 4th place. Michael Avdoka, Adam Volkovich, David Baker to Adam Watson, Mike Horder and Pete Harrod round out the top 10. In your Pro-Am, it is Paul Webster who's just hanging on for dear life in that championship lead. Just 7 points separate himself and Mark Hutchinson. So really tight championship all season long between these Pro-Am drivers. James Crouch in 3rd place, not that far behind as well, along with Tim Perry. Christian Rose, again, another one who's not out of a shout. Andy Archer, he's only 72 points off of the championship leader. And Chris Van Der Ness, 98 points off of the championship leader. All of those drivers really could be ones to keep an eye on for the championship. Matt Woodhouse, Jeroen Kaiser and Chris Malshrek round out your top 10. James Whitehouse is the one who leads the AM Championship by 64 points, ahead of Lars Van Rijn, with Jack Osborne in 3rd place. And then it is Martin de Jong in 4th place, ahead of Kevin Kittleman. Craig Jones, Michael Blake, Adam Hedgecock, Jack Belton and Toby Ward round out the top 10 of your AM. The Enduro standings, of course, it was an endurance race last time out at Sebring, and Luke McEwen with that utterly dominant display that he had last time out at Sebring. He has got a healthy 31 point lead over Mark Hutchinson in 2nd place, with James Whitehouse in 3rd place in the Enduro Cup standings. Then the Teams Championship, it is Pure Sims Esports that lead this one, and by a comfortable margin as well, over the German SimRacing.de by ACV team. 219 points cover those two. The Was Cooking by 3M team, 363 points off of the championship lead, with Pure Sim SimLab in 4th place. Boosted Virage, Evo SR, Team Mad are the rest of the Pro standings. And then you got Century Sim Racing are leading the Pro-Ams. They are leading that by a healthy margin as well over Simortal, with Boosted Sim Sport rounding out the top 10 of those point standings. Right, so qualifying is just about over. They've got a little bit of overtime because of the length of this track. It is an incredibly long track, is this, at Circuit de la Sarthe, Chaz, and they'll get plenty of time to finish off whatever lap they are on. But 13.63 kilometres. It's a different challenge for them this week, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the crown jewels in the whole world of motorsport. You know, you've got a sort of holy trinity, as some people call it, of Bathurst, Le Mans, and the Nürburgring. You know, tracks that are longer than your average Grand Prix circuit and usual circuits that you would see in all other forms of motorsport, aside from maybe endurance racing and special events. But Circuit de la Sarthe has got so much character about it because it shows you one of every different tiny little element that you can get from a motorsport circuit. You can have really long straights where there'll be a lot of slipstreaming that sometimes keeps cars in packs together. You've got quick chicanes and really fast corners like Indianapolis, for example, as the Audi that we look at here is just about to make its way down to. But then you've also got the tight, slow corners as well. I mean, look at Arnage, for example. Absolute nightmare of a corner, if you ask me. Very bumpy braking zone. The corner goes slightly over a crest at the apex, and you've got a really nasty curb on the left-hand side to keep your eye on as well. So this track really presents a number of different challenges. A lot of cars here will be set with very low downforce on their setups because at the end of the day, if your car's not fast in a straight line here, you are going to suffer. So I'm really intrigued to see who has gone to maybe play a bit of a strategy about slipstreaming and get themselves into a strong position on track before we see the pit stops. But at the same time, I'm just looking out for the cars that might be very handy through the corners that could certainly help themselves through places like the Porsche curves.
Certainly could. Well, these drivers, they are finishing off their laps, just a couple remaining out there doing laps. Jensen Adriansons and also Lee Berridge is just coming to a stop at the Porsche curve, so he's pretty much done with his qualifying. So yeah, it's this championship, it has been a sensational championship, it has to be said. At the front though, Luke McEwen, 16-year-old, has come in and has just shown these drivers what a quick driver he is. Not just quick, but he is consistently quick as well. Little bits of racecraft still need to be worked on, I would say, from watching this championship. However, that's things that you can work on. But it was announced this week that he has actually signed with Team Redline.
Wow. Incredible. I hadn't heard about that, unfortunately, but yeah, still well done to Mr. McEwen, because that is a hell of a place to be. But like you say, there are drivers where with sim racing you can get into it really young, much like people do with karting. You know, I was talking to a racing driver today. I was at Alton Park, and we were both talking about the fact that some drivers get into real world motorsport now, not through karting anymore, but just straight through the sim, because you can get so much experience of all these international circuits, these top-end cars, without having to have the budget to go testing or get the opportunities from a big team or something like that. And the fact that Luke can come here and prove himself in such a great way and get noticed by big teams like that, that could lead to so many opportunities. And I'd say, based on his pace, it's incredibly well-deserved. But as you mentioned, you know, there's a few little rough edges to be sort of refined and shaved away slightly, but if there's a team that's going to do that, then flipping heck, it's going to be Redline, isn't it? It's a fantastic squad to be a part of, a very prestigious squad indeed.
Certainly is, and it's also a best wishes to Paul Webster, should I say, who's racing with COVID, unfortunately. He's got a 7-point lead in that Pro-Am standings, and you know, it shows that yes, you do have drop scores in this championship, but you really don't want to have a drop score being 0, do you?
No, you don't want to have to rely on it. That's the thing. I mean, drop scores can work both ways for drivers. You know, they can be a great buffer if you're having a really good season, and further down the line you may feel a little bit more confident going into the last few rounds, thinking, you know what, I've got a few points to drop here. If I have a bad race meeting, then, you know, I'll essentially gain some in the championship. Or they can be a real handicap, because if you miss a round near the start of the season and then you come back further on and you have a sort of resurgence of your pace, the fact you have a 0 drop score really does start to affect you in the long run. You know, what you see there is what you get. There's no second chances from that point on.
Well, that's qualifying over with. Let's have a look at the grid then. It is Josh Thompson, Ross McFarlane who share the front row of the grid with Adam Volkovich. Great qualifying from him in 3rd place. Alongside him, Reese Carroll, new to the championship, taking the seat of Bruno Canero. David Baker and Leon Penn share row number 3. Row 4 then for James Crouch, your top Pro-Am driver. Really good qualifying for him. Alongside him is Philip Koenig. Then Christian Rose, Selim Senturk, who was sensational on his debut last time out. He's on the 5th row of the grid. 6th row, Adam Watson and Mark Hutchinson. Row number 7 then for Reece Saunders and Martin this moment, with Alex Neller, Pete Harrod on row number 8. Row 9, Chris van der Ness and Christian Malcharek, who, even though he is in blue, is actually a Pro-Am in this championship, because Lars van Rijn and Andy Archer, that's the front row of your Am standings in row number 10. Row number 11, Kevin Kittleman and Tom Brown on all Indy Autosport red team line up there, with Paul Webster and Simon Field on row number 12. Row 13 for Adam State and Tim Perry, with Brendan Stacey and Mark Woodhouse in the next row of the grid. Jesse Payne Wilkins and Jack Osborne rounding out row number 15. Row 16 for James Whitehouse and Jensen Adriansons, with Jack Belton, Adam Hedgecock, Lee Berridge and Ben Gregory rounding out the next row. John Roberts, Philip Elsner and Toby Ward is 39th. He's the last of the drivers to set a lap time. Then those that did not set a lap time, a few of which have penalties. Luke McEwen in 40th place, Michael Evdoka, Mike Horder, Magic Sakovic, Eric Haag, Craig Jones, should I say, Michael Blake, Simon Neller, Nick Salaputis and Andy Gilmore round out your 49, yes that's right, 49 car grid. Chaz, looking at the front of the field here, Josh Thompson pole position, but Ross McFarlane, we've seen how good he is in these races where you have to make a pit stop. How do you see this one panning out?
You're right about Ross. You know, his strategy calls have always been really good. He knows when to push, he knows when to just sort of hold back a bit. Josh is just as good as well. I mean, we all know how good Josh Thompson can be. It's just that last time I commentated on Josh here, I'm pretty sure he had a disconnect. So hopefully none of that tonight for him, touching wood right now on the desk. I'm looking forward to seeing what Vulkovic can do. Him and Reece Carroll are two drivers I've not commentated on before. But Vulkovic, I mean, you've said it's a good qualifying for his standards. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he can hold on up there in this pack, especially with the slipstream as well. But I think if I had to pick from one of the front two to maybe take a win tonight, I'm going to have to go with that number 1 car, Ross McFarlane, your reigning champion.
It's going to be interesting to see how Luke McEwen works his way through the field. If ever there's a track where you can work your way through the field, it is this venue, and he can really work through that grid. But the drivers are heading towards the Ford chicane, getting ready for the start of this race. Drivers will be looking towards the gantry. Meanwhile, the flyby is going to be taking place as well with the tricolor, and it's a tight chicane to finish off the lap here. There is the flyby with the colours of the French flag. We're all set. The pace car will pull off to pit lane. Hard right, there it goes. Josh Thompson slots in front of Ross. He's going to get going. Green flag in the air then, Barney. Well, he's not waving it on there because the green light is on, but it's down towards turn number 1. Now, will everybody get through that final Ford chicane to start with? And then will everybody be able to get through the opening of this lap? Because it's a big, big grid. But if ever there was a venue for a big grid, it is Circuit de la Sarthe. Through the first chicane, they go. And heading down through the S's, they go for the first time. Car spun round, that's Ben Gregory. He's held on to it towards the end there. Unfortunately, everybody's staying clean and staying green so far. Although saying
Year one Audi there having a right old moment on the way to Tertre Rouge, but just about held on to it, I think. It looked like through the final chicane there was a Porsche, the Porsche near the back of the field. I think it might have been Magic Sakovic. Was around as a car around there, and that is Alex Neller in the boosted Farage Lamborghini. But it did look like there was a Porsche, I'm pretty sure, Magic Sakovic off at the final chicane as the race got underway. And there was a couple of other cars going wide, I think, as well. You mentioned the Audi of Centurk. I think he went wide through the first chicane. But up front, Josh Thompson still in front of Ross McFarlane. Let the slipstreaming begin, boys.
Yeah, this is just absolutely great. Just watching these cars all thundering down the Mulsanne straight. And they're sorting themselves out, getting themselves the best position that they can. And look at that, the front four have already made a little bit of a breakaway here. They're trying to get away from the rest. David Baker is a little bit of a cork in the bottle, so to speak, in 5th place ahead of James Crouch. Great start for Crouch, up a position in the Pro-Am to go through the second of the chicanes down the Mulsanne straight. more action further down as well. There's Reece Saunders in that year one BMW. Really easy to tell, Reece. You can't see a number on the side of his car as he comes down towards Mulsanne corner for the first time now. Tricky corner, this one, isn't it, Chaz? Because you're turning and braking at the same time.
Yeah, and there's sort of two apexes at this corner as well. You've got the sort of kink on the right as you go in, so people will flick the car into the right, try and shorten that run to the corner as much as possible, but then get the car all the way to the outside to open up the actual corner itself. This sort of first lap where you get the first couple of chicanes and then down to Mulsanne corner, it's the real sort of filtering out process of getting all these cars from being 2x2 into one long single file parade. But as you see now, more slipstreaming before they go down to Indianapolis, and they will start to fan out once again. Great chase going on at the front. I might actually argue that Dave Baker's holding back so much in fifth that he wants to actually be in his customary sixth position that much that he doesn't want fifth. But either way, we've got some fantastic battling going on through Indy. Cars around in the background though, and that's Simon Field, is it not, in the 26 Lamborghini? Yes. There was another car backwards there, just trying to check who that was going backwards.
Tom Brown has stopped out there as well on track. He's getting going then. That was at Indianapolis, and it's so easy to have a big accident at Indy. It really is. The fast right-hander straight into a braking zone, and if you just get your line wrong, you can tag another car and around you go. But we're still staying green. We're still staying going with the action here. Worth pointing out, Luke McEwen so far up 13 positions on this opening lap, and we've not reached the end of the lap yet. This is absolutely tremendous. Well, he's not with the Logitech GLT Sports team anymore. He's with Redline, and we've got a big one. This is at Porsche Curves, the exit of the Porsche Curves. There's Lee Berridge involved in that. There's another one of the Boosted cars. There was a Century Sim Racing car involved there. Adam Hedgecock it is. Jack Belton was involved in that one as well.
Whitehouse was the Century car, and is
Ben Gregory.
Yeah, Ben Gregory in the Lamborghini. Now the Audi that was involved in that one as well, I think that was Belton, wasn't it? Yeah, I thought it might have been his teammate for some reason, but yeah, well, it's definitely Jack Belton. But the thing is, I mean, Porsche Curves, in cars like this, especially when you get the mid-engine GT3 cars, like your Lamborghinis, your Ferraris, your Audis, they do have that pendulum effect that I am too much of a fan of talking about. But when the back end does start to go on them, they're so difficult to save, because you either flick it back the other way or it's just gone. And look, there you go. It flicks one way then the other. It was a double accident though. Yeah. Because Jim Whitehouse lost the back end and then the car behind him went.
And that's your AM Championship leader is Jim Whitehouse as well. Yeah. Don't forget that. I don't think Lee Berridge will appreciate getting the paint stripped off the side of his car there. There goes Belton. Heavy impact and very little that the others could do there.
Yeah, he belted the wall, didn't he, really? He did, Jack Belton. But Hedgecock got caught up in that so suddenly. The car bounced back from the wall and all of a sudden was just inside the front of his car. Look at this from Belton. That is a horrifying impact. But Hedgecock just had that front left get clipped by the nose of the Audi, and it launched the car into the air, and then it just did a big Tony Hawk grind down the barrier, and unfortunately that's where it stayed.
Well, fortunately in this championship you do get a free repair, so if you can get the car back to the pits, get the car repaired for free, quick pit and away you go again. So it's not the end of the day for those drivers who have been involved in those incidents. And the problem with this track here, Chaz, is that everybody's so focused on that top speed down the Mulsanne straight down towards Indianapolis as well, that there's that contact at the opening of the race for Ben Gregory. Everyone's focused on getting top speed, that they're running a really skinny sort of T-tray rear wing, that you come to the Porsche Curves and you've not got a lot of grip there all of a sudden.
No, that's it. And I mean, at the end of the day, when they're driving and doing hot lapping on their own, they're practicing and getting used to the setup, as Alex Neller's been nudged off to the side. That was contact with
lap one.
Yeah, that was with one of the BMWs as well, wasn't it? There were just three wide there, and unfortunately, I don't think he knew they were three wide. But yeah, as you sorry, go on.
And then this is what followed then. Dirty tyres, cold tyres, and we managed to avoid the wall there at Tête Rouge. So well done. So we'll come back to live pictures there, but yeah, go on, carry on your point that you were started making about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, but the the thing is, when the drivers are hot lapping on their own, they're practicing, getting used to the setup and dialing it in. That's all well and good because they know how to deal with the car with that skinny rear end on it and little to no downforce on the back. As soon as you have to run a different line or adjust your car and what it's doing mid-corner, that's when you start to have the issues. You need maybe a bit more lock, maybe to be a bit more trail breaky, to make it into an adjective, partway round a corner. You know, if you have to just do something slightly different to what you did when you did your hot lapping, suddenly you're in unfamiliar territory and the car can be an absolutely different animal. And I think that's what some of these guys are realizing here. You know, even the dirty air in GT3 cars, it can affect them quite a lot. They're very aero dependent, hence the massive body kits, the wide arches, the huge wings and splitters and all the rest of it. So these things, they don't follow perfectly cleanly. As we go on board with Adam Watson, and listen to that already. This is what I was just about to get onto, funnily enough. Adam reads my mind quite a lot, you know. But the fuel saving, that's going to be big stuff today. It's going to be hard to be able to save an entire lap's worth of fuel, so I'm not sure how many of them will do the extra lap, but it could be worth it in the end. You've got to give it a go, haven't you?
Well, and here's the thing, even if you don't save yourself a full lap's worth of fuel, you're still saving yourself time in the pits by taking on less fuel. Don't forget, oh, there's a move. Wow, Philip Koenig, thank you very much. I'll take 7th place, or 8th place off of you, Adam. Adam in his lime green Aston Martin shirt. That is a dig at Michael Blake, by the way. It is lime green. We had it confirmed by Aston Martin themselves. But down towards Tete Rouge, and this is the real downside of that Porsche. It is not the best top speed on that car. He needs to sit in the slipstream, and look, he's got cars queuing up behind him now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a chunky all-rounder, isn't it, the Porsche? You know, it's got this wonderful stability about it when you get the right driver in it. Yes, the engine is about 15 feet behind you, but at the end of the day, it always seems like a really planted car. It's always pretty decent in high-speed corners, pretty decent in low-speed corners, but it's never the best at any certain element. You know, it's always a safe bet. As there you go, Les Mollman goes past up into 9th position, as he gets past Adam Watson, and that's 2 places already lost for Adam, and we get to listen to that wonderful 5.2 litre V10 in the back of the Audi R8. Saw one of the newest Audi R8 iterations today at Alton Park, actually, the Evo 2 with the really weird wing supports that come over the back of the wing rather than being the swan legs. Well, look at the Porsche there on the left, he's had him back.
Well, he's trying to have him back, but I think he kind of hit a brick wall in terms of the lack of slipstream. There's a bit of a slide, but he's kept it going as Adam Watson. Marvin Lesmorman, I mean, if you're these two, you don't fight too hard. You swap down the straights, get yourselves a bit of fuel saving done. Lesmorman's just having a look around, just having to see what's going on. And yeah, Marvin, it's great. I keep on saying this week after week, but it's great that the drivers give us this insight into their setups. So, Adam Watson making a dive to Philip Koenig now, and now Les Mollman will get the run out of Mulsanne.
But the important thing is he's not very far back when he starts that run, so he doesn't get much of a slingshot. So look at him, he's glued to the back of the Porsche. It's not a bad place to be because it's got a fantastic backside on it. But to be honest, it's not the run that he would have wanted. And look, he's even looking over, he's saying, yeah, I know, boys, there's nowhere I can go here. He absolutely loves it, doesn't he? Bless him. But this
he's probably seen himself on the stream, is probably what he's seen.
Eyes forward, mate. Flipping out. And he still goes for it down the inside of Watson. Lovely stuff. Hits the apex, gives Adam the room on the exit. Adam's just going to slot back in front before Arnage. Is he now going to have another look? He can't really think about it yet because he's got Selim Senturk behind. He's also under pressure as well from Christian Rose. And Mark Hutchinson, Senturk hit the wall. Has that broken the suspension? I'd be pretty confident that it has. It certainly upset the car.
Well, Arnage is the most frustrating corner on this track.
Oh, definitely.
You always understeer into, and you always think that you're going to hit that tyre wall that just sticks out on the exit of the corner. There's Senturk, I think is all right, you know, the year one driver. And there's tyre smoke, and it's Les Mollman! Marvin Les Mollman! He's found the wall at Porsche curves. He's trying to stay out of everybody's way right now. That's going to be a pig to drive. But do you know what? I think we're just in a pit window right now.
Yeah, he could potentially get away with this if he has an early stop. I mean, you say the Audi would be a pig to drive now. From my experience, it's a pig to drive anyway. But to be honest with you, that could be big damage as McFarlane has overtaken Thompson. Here is a look at it. It just touched the curb, and that's all it can take. This is what I was on about before. It's the tiniest little margins, and wow, he's lucky he didn't get collected there, and into the pits he goes.
Yeah, I'm not surprised he's heading onto pit road with that damage, but as I said before, you do get a free repair, and we are just at that pit window, because we normally say once about 10-12 minutes is gone, you can make it to the end on a pit stop. You're going to be disadvantaged. By the way, looking at our timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen there, Luke McEwen has just popped up in 16th place. He started 40th.
This is one of those fantastic drives that you see from the guys that are really at the top of their game as well. You know, we get these drivers in this championship that are just absolute stars, and look how much he's pushing there. He was all the way over to the left-hand side as he went down the hill, had to get out of it slightly on the grass, and he's tucked up now right behind Lars van Rijn in the boosted Lamborghini. All the way down the long back straight we go, and the slipstream is gradually sucking that Lamborghini along, giving it a little bit more waft down the straight. It's fantastic noise as well. Great camera here on board. And there he is in the red line livery as well now. Congrats again to Luke on that. It's a fantastic achievement. Look behind, there's a fantastic battle 3 wide there, as you say, Paul.
Yeah, 3 wide. They're still managing to keep going as well. Pete Harrod's involved in that one as well. Of course, joined Century Sim Racing, as we said at the start of the season. Really good acquisition for the team to get Pete on board. Former champion, of course, from season 7. So he knows how to pedal a car, does Pete, and switched over from Pure Sims now at Century Sim Racing, and well, it's no joke with how they're leading the Pro-Am Teams Championship right now, as Adam State is right there with them as well.
Yeah, it's a nice little quartet this. They were very, very coordinated as they came down into the second chicane. 2 Porsches against 2 Lamborghinis. Fantastic combination of sounds, but right now we have Paul Webster just moving to the right-hand side of Adam State. Adam hangs it around the outside, and look at that, down the inside. Kevin Kittleman just makes the move, slowly comes off the brakes. Oh, they rub panels on the exit as well, kissing wing mirrors. And they're still glued together. Please don't move over on each other, boys. You don't have to do it. Side by side down towards Indy. They might just be trying to get a tiny bit of side draft here, but it's minimal. Look at this, red versus blue. It takes me back to the Rooster Teeth days, Paul. This is fantastic stuff. Very, very close indeed. And even more contact before they go down to Indy. It's absolutely unnecessary contact, but still, they're both on the road, and that's what matters now. Who's going to keep it in to Indy? And it is Kittleman. And, well, flipping out, if we could see State's face, then I'm sure he'd be very, very focused right now.
Yeah, Sarge made it ahead of Church there as
yes.
into the right-hander. There's almost a little bit of contact with State. Adam just needs to focus on up, done. And here's the thing, it's still a 40-minute race. You don't have to be too aggressive here. You want to think the long game and try and out-strategize the other drivers that you're fighting with. And the lot more that you fight, the more that you're going to trip over each other and slow each other down. We'll keep an eye on Luke McEwen, also keeping an eye on people like Michael Evdoka, who's up 17 places in 24th place. Eric Haag up 15 places, along with Michael Blake, he's up 15. Nick Salaputis up 16 places here. Not always had the best of times in the series as Nick, so it's good to see him on a positive charge up the field.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, these longer races, you know, more and more of them being introduced into the World GT Championship over the last few seasons, they give certain drivers who just have this ability to stay out of trouble in the right scenario. You know, they can just pick their way through a field and go unnoticed. They can be under the radar for the whole thing. No news is good news a lot of the time in this sort of racing. There is Salaputis right now. And he is just, like you say, Paul, he's just making his way through the field nicely. A lot of positions gained so far, and that just comes from staying out of trouble. You know, you keep your pace nice and consistent, and you just gradually work your way up. You get through to the tougher nuts to crack a little bit higher up the order, and maybe the pace slows down, or at least the progress slows down a little bit, but this has been a great drive so far, and hopefully he's going to pick up some good points for his efforts. Worth looking at the front of the field. Ross McFarlane is now in the lead of this race. He's got ahead of Josh Thompson. So Thompson had pulled about a second gap on Ross, but Ross pulled that gap back up.
he's now into the lead of this race. But if you're Josh, you know, he's experienced. He knows to just sit behind Ross here and do a bit of fuel saving himself. Adam Volkovic still third place at the moment, just 2 and a bit seconds back off of this battle. And, Reese Carroll, welcome to the series. 4th place for him so far.
Yeah, fantastic drive by Reese so far. He's in the series replacing Bruno Carnero. So one very fast driver gets replaced by a very fast driver by the look of it as well. Love the 3M livery on that car as well. That looks fantastic with the big black front end on that Lamborghini. Very evil looking car. Great to see him going well in it as well. But yeah, Ross McFarlane and Josh Thompson, I mean, these guys as well are doing it now. You'll see people sitting in the middle of the road on these long straights. There's a slight, what we call a crown in the road, isn't there, Paul, where it's a little bit closer to the floor of the car, helps them go in a straight line, and that stinks of slowdown, doesn't it?
Yeah. That is definitely a slowdown penalty. A little flash of the lights from Ross as well. Yeah, that's definitely a slowdown penalty. Must have got it through the Ford chicane there for Josh. But to be honest, if I'm Josh, I'm not too worried about that. I'm sitting behind now, getting a bit of fuel saving done. But yeah, you're right. There is a crown in the road because a lot of this track is public roads.
Yeah, it is
for most of the year.
Yeah, it's fantastic that it does get converted into a racing circuit like this. I always love it when you do get public roads that are turned into a racetrack. It just adds so much more relativity to it and just adds a lot more character. It's absolutely brilliant. Not to mention as well the potential slowdown opportunities for Josh. There's so many of them with Ford chicanes. It can be an absolute nightmare. But also Maison Blanche as well just before that. The very fast left-hander. You can run all 4 wheels over the curb there. And that can be quite a picky corner with slowdown penalties. We've seen that before as well. But this is, of course, the Was Cooking by 3M BMW now of Josh Thompson. I always think it's a very understated car in the noise that it makes. You know, inline 6, turbocharged engine, not the big burly, growly V8s that we'd seen in previous GT cars by BMW, but once again, a prime example by BMW that rather than taking a sort of rear to mid-engine supercar and turning it into a GT racer, they take a big fat coupe and say, look at us, we've got fantastic cars to make it out of. And boy, they have. This M4, while it's divided a lot of opinions with the front end, it is a hell of a sturdy race car, and a lot of teams are now getting more and more into it in the real world. It's great to see it appearing more often.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're still busy building the things, and to get them to the hands of the customers as Reese Carroll makes his way past Adam Volkovic. So change of position for the podium there. So not bad if he could get a podium on his debut for Reese. I still miss my Z4, and that is a slowdown penalty there as well.
Yeah, indeed. And to be fair, it's probably the best place to serve it because you are going to slow down a lot for the chicane anyway. There is Selim Senturk. He now brings the Audi into the pits, the very striking Team Year 1 livery. Makes its way in a non-subtle fashion into the pit lane, the 534 car. He was going all right, to be fair, other than that little moment that we saw earlier on. This is his entry into the pits. He's just overcooked it slightly there as Hugo has caught him out.
That could potentially be a added-on time penalty as well in his pit stop, because of course, if it's an classed as unsafe pit entry by the iRacing Sim, then you could end up losing a bunch of time there. Losing time as well is James Crouch. He was in 7th. He's dropped down to 10th place right now. Mark Hutchinson, his teammate for Evo SR, making it way past, and the 2 Ferraris now having to get themselves line astern down the Mulsanne. They've got Christian Rose behind, and if you're James Crouch right now, suddenly you've gone from being in the lead of Pro-Am to being in 2nd behind your teammate, who is the last person you want to have any shenanigans with.
Yeah, that's it. You don't hit your teammate, you just do not. But yeah, unfortunately, James Crouch going down the order. You could say he's not going to take that one lying down, but that doesn't quite adhere to his name. But here we go. Oh, slow down again. Slow down again for sure through that first chicane. And look, he's just trying to stay nice and clear of everybody else out of the way on the right-hand side. Unfortunately, just clips the grass a bit. But those Evo SR Ferraris look fantastic together, it must be said. Now, side by side here between Penn and Baker. And Penn moves up into 5th place, and we all know that David happily sit there until the end to continue the trend of his 6th place. But again, 2 Lamborghinis fighting, and here is Luke McEwen. He is up into 12th position now. James Crouch just in front of him. and then, of course, his teammate Mark Hutchinson. But this has been incredible progress, and none of this has been aided by pit stops yet, really, has it? There's been only 1 or 2 cars that have pitted, and they've not really been in front of him at the time.
Centre did pit, of course, and he had a 57-second pit stop because of that unsafe pit entry right there. Marvin Lesmorman as well with his incident. So a combination of incidents and making the moves, and speaking of making moves, to 10th place now with that move at Mulsanne, and he's going to look forward. Luke he is an incredible talent. I think what we've seen in this championship is the birth of a star, a potential star. As long as he keeps this progression, this upward trajectory of progression, then the world is his oyster when it comes to sim racing. As I say, only 16 years old as well, and you're going into a team where there's a certain, Formula 1 world champion Max Verstappen is involved in it. Nobody better really to get some advice off.
No, definitely not. It's an amazing squad to be a part of, as we've said, and to be honest, Luke will settle right in, I'm very sure. He's now ahead of both of the Evo SR cars, and to be honest, Hutchinson lost out big time at Mulsanne Corner because James Crouch went past him as well. So it's suddenly, after catching them at the start of this lap, it's become a situation now where he's got them both behind him, Luke McEwen, and I'm pretty sure he's used to that. You find the car, and I mean, our good old dear friend Murray Walker, rest his soul, used to always say that catching was one thing and overtaking is quite another, but for Luke McEwen it just seems to sort of all blend into one, doesn't it?
Yeah, he sort of just arrive, drive, and go and pit for your 2 leaders. In fact, the top 4, we're getting a pit party. Everyone's wanting to pit around the same time-ish to keep a slipstream if they can. Because you do lose so much time. However, there are some that are staying out there on track. Liam Penn, David Baker, Adam Watson, James Crouch, they're all staying out there. So we've got drivers who have been able to save enough fuel for another lap here. Whereas everybody else, it seems, is on pit road right now.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, isn't it? I mean, it's... a whole lap of fuel is quite a lot here as McFarlane and Josh, they exit the pits right together. McFarlane, look at that. He lets him go. He's like, you know what, if you want to lead, then you go for it, Josh. You do that. I will happily sit behind and save more fuel ahead of the next one. There's Christian Rose in the number 93 Porsche. Number 45 machine of Philip Koenig right in front of him. And Christian is ready on the revs, and the car creeps away in a rather undramatic fashion, considering the amount of revs that were put on. And then they leave the pit lane nice and tidy. And look at that. You wanted a pit party, Paul. That is an absolute pit party on the left-hand side of your screen. Cars coming in, cars coming out. Lamborghini side by side on pit exit. Fantastic stuff as they all make their way through the pit lane in their necessary orders.
I can tell you right now, 26 cars headed onto pit road this lap out of 49 cars.
Wow.
That started this race. So
and let's not forget, a number of them would have already pitted for damage as well. Some of the others that out of that 49. So we only had, what, 4 or 5 that haven't pitted yet?
4.
Yeah,
so the top 4, Leon Penn, David Baker, Adam Watson and James Crouch, all owe us a pit stop right now. And they will be hoping that they've done their maths correctly right now, because they will be wanting to see that pit lane go up and still have even just a quart of fuel left in that fuel tank to make it through to get to their pit stall and get their fuel stop done. But of course, by going an extra lap here, they're having to take on a lap's worth of fuel less than the rest of those runners and riders there. It'll only be about a second or so on the pit lane, but that could prove the difference right here, Chaz.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's so many elements to longer races like this. You know, it's not just absolute go for it, hammer and tongs straight away all the way through. You know, there's more elements to thinking about the fuel, thinking about track position even more, because the pit stops can shake it up that much more. So to have those extra elements is what makes these races so entertaining. As Dave Baker pulls out to the left-hand side of Leon Penn, Adam Watson watches on in his Porsche, and there you go. Into the lead goes David Baker for the time being, at least. And Leon Penn there, potentially working with him, you know, both Pure Sim stablemates, and Adam Watson will sit behind, and he's doing some nice fuel saving there on the way into Arnage. Bit of a scary place to do fuel saving. Like we said, it always feels like the car's going to just go straight on and understeer. And when you drop in the revs and risking the fact that the car might suddenly spike them again when you come off the clutch, it's quite an interesting place to do it. But Baker, you know, he's made the move and he's suddenly pulled out nearly a half a second gap out of just the run from Arnage there. So we can expect these guys in this lap. So the gaps here at the moment are a little bit academic. We'll have to see what they're like when they come out of the pits, because that's what's going to matter. With only 12 and a bit minutes, well, just hit under 13 minutes left of this race now. Once again, pole time flying while we're having fun. But this is all going to come to crunch time now for these guys, and it's going to be interesting to see how they fare against the guys that pitted earlier.
Yeah, certainly is. Here comes Baker then. He'll be looking to pit road. Driver's right. Onto the pit lane he goes. Don't do what Selim Senturk did. Get an illegal pit entry as they come down onto the pit limiter right now. Make sure that you've got your fuel set. We're not taking tyres here in this race. Only 40-minute race. You don't need to take tyres. You can see Adam Watson then. He's looking at what's going on. There's your former race leaders, Josh Thompson and Ross McFarlane. Josh has got a little bit of a gap over Ross since the pit stops as they come across the line right now. The rest of these drivers come to a stop, and that should be Thompson and McFarlane to the front. Volkovich and Carroll, you would imagine, will go past as well. The fight for these drivers is with Luke McEwen, Phil Koenig, Matt Hutchinson. There goes Watson. There goes Leon Penn. And down pit straight comes Luke McEwen. Now he's at speed. These drivers are getting up to speed through turn number 1. McEwen holds it out wide, gets onto the brakes. That's 2 places. Kagan, look at that. Philip Koenig, like an RKO out of nowhere. Thank you very much. I'll take a spot from you, David. So Baker drops down to 10th place in all of that, or does he? Because Baker's fought back and got the place back.
I was going to say he must have gone well deep into that chicane there, but Koenig, I mean, you said the word brakes, and it's like Koenig went, what? Just went completely straight on. Baker fought back using the run off the corner and just about got away with it, but now that means that Philip Koenig is right behind. Here is another view of it. So look at that, Luke McEwen down the inside, and then boom, Koenig comes out of nowhere, slots in. Baker was very aware of that. Oh, lovely cutback. We just saw it to the left-hand side of the screen there. Baker was millimetre perfect with him. What else would you expect from the doctor? But look at that. It's an 8-wheeled 5.2-litre V10 powered Lamborghini Audi thing right now. Basically the same car underneath. Just one of them's made out of triangles, one of them's made out of squares. And at the moment, Baker remains in front of Koenig, maybe just thinking we need to move forward. Here's a battle further down. That's is Michael Avdoka.
Yeah, he's making his way through. Adam State making his way through as well. So that is now Avdoka up to 16th. That's plus 25 positions there. Chris Van Den Ness, he's on the lost 1 place from where he started, so keeping nice and steady away for Chris. But Luke McEwen, what a charge this is. Once again, showing why Team Redline have brought this guy on. And he's doing a sensational job. Car number 6 is the leader in the championship. He's in 6th place at the moment. I don't think he's going to hang around. He wants to get further forward. But the problem is, as soon as he gets past Leon Penn, I mean, he's good as Luke, but he's got about 12 seconds to catch up to Reese Carroll.
Well, that cone got sent absolutely flying, the poor thing. But yeah, you're right, Paul. It's not going to be easy for him to move forward here because, you know, he's got drivers like Leon and Adam tucked up right behind him. Those guys are not slow, no matter what. You know, we know how good Luke is, but these guys are very, very good as well. And look, they're going to fight with him now because they don't want him to go flying off in the distance. Watson tries to find the gap. There's no gap there, Sunshine. Leon Penn, well, he's on the right-hand side now. And to be honest, never mind Penn, he's penciled it in before they get to Indianapolis. Says, look at that, Luke McEwen round the outside, moves over to the right, says, not today, Sunshine, watch this. Fantastic stuff by McEwen. There's another just little display of the fantastic capability these young lads got. That was feisty and as demanding as you like.
It's not just the capabilities, it's the confidence in knowing that the car is going to stick there through the right-hander into Indianapolis. That is not an easy move to make, I can tell you. And Leon Penn, He's a feisty competitor. He will fight you for every inch of the track. So Luke McEwen, little tip of the hat to you for that move. That was absolutely sensational. Up to 5th place. That's 35 places gained for Luke in this race. He's doing a sensational job of moving forward, and he's already pulling away.
I was going to say, he's just disappeared up the road. I just said a minute ago he wasn't going to do it, and look at him. Through this section here, he is absolutely flying. It's brilliant to see all over the grass on the way to the 4 chicanes. Another cone gets sent on holiday, but amazing, absolutely amazing. We're going to run out of superlatives by the end of race 1 here for Luke McEwen. I'm pretty sure that's already been done this season. But now the fight is Adam Watson against Leon Penn. Adam is going to try and maybe just push past him and go after Luke McEwen, but that is not really an easy job to do at all. Here's James Crouch fighting with Koenig in the Audi, and he's a bit wide through turn 1. Yeah, I think he has, yeah. And he does obviously concede that position. No point fighting for it and trying to hold people up, but he's still within slipstreaming range of the car in front, so he's not going to disappear anytime soon from the back of that Audi. Both black and green cars with their own wonderful designs. I must admit, to be honest, I do love the design on Koenig's Audi. It's a fantastic looking bit of kit with a big eagle up the side of it. It's just a great, great looking car. And, you know, one thing I do love about coming back to this championship every so often is having to relearn the liveries, you know, and get used to the different teams, the different layouts of who's driving for who and what car looks like what. It's great because it's always been a really good looking grid in the World GT Championship.
Well, I may be biased, but the best looking car on the grid is on the right hand side of your screen right there. Adam Watson in the Team Mad Porsche, and Leon Penn, should I say, sorry, just backs out of that one, realises there's no point fighting that one. I can get the slipstream out of the first chicane, which of course is named after another competitor video game, which we won't mention. Then down the second part of the Mulsanne, heading towards the Michelin chicane. It's a left, left chicane, and that Porsche, Adam Watson, he must have it so dialed in for speed, because normally it really struggles top speed wise, but he must have that wing so flat that he's getting that top speed out of that car. Oh, is he got? Oh. No, he's just trying to break the slipstream there.
Yeah, I was going to say it was. It looked like he just pulled over as if to say, God's sake, you see drivers move out of the way straight away, no matter what, don't you? They always pull over to one side when they do have a slowdown, but yeah, Adam tried to break the slipstream. We're seeing right now how much of a difference that made as Penn still moves in front of him in the Lambo, but we were talking before about the Porsche not being that fast in a straight line, and that's certainly proof of it there. When it's at the head of the train, or that front goose in the formation, it doesn't quite work. Now, these are the front geese in the whole formation of the race. Ross McFarlane and Josh Thompson. Apparently Josh Thompson's got the neck of a goose anyway, but still, Ross McFarlane moving past him on the way down to Indianapolis. I'm sorry, Josh, I love you really, but these guys, I think, are going to keep swapping, aren't they now? They're sharing the fuel saving between them to move forward and get away from everybody.
Now, the thing is, we've got at the end of this lap, we should have 2 laps remaining in this race, because there's 5 minutes still remaining here at the moment. So with the pace that these guys have been doing, I mean, their last lap was a 3 minutes 52.0 for Ross, a 3 minute 52.1 for Josh. So there's next to nothing between the two of them. The only driver that can compete with them lap time wise, surprise, surprise, is Luke McEwen with a 52.0. Now, Reese Carroll last lap did a 30. Oh my goodness, that's a huge one for Kevin Kittleman. And that was Reese Saunders in the Year 1 car at Indianapolis, the entry to Indianapolis. There goes Josh Thompson for your lead. But that was a huge crash for those two.
Yeah, that was a massive, massive impact. There was an Aston Martin went in that fence a few years ago, wasn't there, at Le Mans? A horrendous place to end up. And luckily, with it just being sim racing, the two of them, I'm very sure, will be absolutely fine. But here we go. Just Reese was late on the brakes, and look at that. The way they collect each other, that is a sickening impact side on. I'm not sure if Reese held the brakes after that, though. It looked like the car rolled quite a bit back onto the circuit. And somehow, that thing shouldn't be moving, should it? He does rejoin onto the apex, though, a little bit naughty. He should really just tow the car at that point. It's absolutely total. Here's Jack Osborne. He is just trying to sneak down the inside of the 89 machine of Eric Haag, and Eric just lets him slot in front there, knowing that he can then maybe try and return the favour later on in the Porsche curves. But That's the thing. It's so scary on the way into Indy, and he was just that little bit late. Do you think he might have just been distracted by the battle in front of him?
Yeah, you had that Immortal car at the head of that little group. I think it was Paul Webster potentially that was at the head of that group. Marvin Westmoreland has had to head down onto pit road again to get a splash and dash, so he couldn't quite make it to the end of the race with that. Unsurprisingly, Kevin Kittleman is onto pit road after that huge impact with the tyre wall. Reece Saunders is sat, he took a tour back to pit lane. But still, your race leaders, they are Josh Thompson and Ross McFarlane. Adam Volkovich, a very creditable third place in that German simracing.de by ACV car. Your top Pro-Am is Mark Hutchinson in 10th place with James Crouch in 2nd and Christian Rose 3rd, respectively 10th, 11th and 12th places. There goes Ross McFarlane past Josh Thompson. Your top AM driver on the field right now is actually Lars van Rijn in 21st place, the Boosted driver, having a good race so far in 21st, with James Whitehouse in 25th, of course, got involved in that incident at the Porsche Curves, don't forget, and then Jack Osborne 26th, third place in class.
Yeah, we do have Jim Whitehouse on the cameras as well. Well, on the cameras, we have his camera as well, access tonight. He is actually racing from Century Sim Racing. They have a centre up near me in the UK in Warrington. Fantastic place to go, and we had a hell of a lot of fun there a long time ago. It seems like forever now, but yeah, he actually races from their centre using one of their sims, and he does run the joint, so it's not for anyone else to tell him not to. So it's great to see that he gets the use out of them. But look at these two now, absolutely glued together. Absolutely glued together, but then look, just Josh backs out that little bit, just that little bit, just to make sure that he can close up and carry some good speed through. It looks like the BMW is part of the Lamborghini there, almost like it's some massive trailer behind. Really shows you the height difference between the two cars though, and the fact that you can have that height difference and the size of the bulk of these things width-ways, you know, the fact that they're so close on performance just baffles me, because it shows you how good GT3 racing is. It continues to absolutely amaze me, but Josh is just sticking there for now. Now
these two are actually catching up to Adam Hedgecock, who I can't believe we're saying this, as back markers going to be coming into play for these two. There's Adam right now working his way through the Porsche Curves, heading off through the left-hander, what used to be known as karting. Oh, that's going to be a slowdown penalty, Adam. And then the leaders right there, look at them. That's the line that you need to take. Just get two wheels over that curb. Josh Thompson, put the pressure on. Now, this last lap is going to be extremely tactical. If you thought the Formula One yesterday in Jeddah was tactical with trying not to get the DRS, then this is going to be tactical, because neither of these two want to be leading or in front until at least Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's true, and I mean, let's not forget, we've seen moves before on the way into the Porsche Curves as well. When you get that run out of Arnage, you've got quite a while to get in some slipstream, at least get alongside, put the car down the inside, or even around the outside, as we've seen into Porsche Curves, so it could all change there. Josh just loses a couple of tenths here in the opening part of the lap, but he won't be too worried about that, knowing how much slipstreaming he still has to go. But right now, these two showing us exactly how it's done. I mean, we said at the start of the race, didn't we, Paul, how good they both are in these longer races. They know when to attack, they know when to hold back and save fuel and play strategies. They've been absolute masters of their craft in this first race tonight. It's been beautiful to watch so far, regardless of how this turns out.
And of course, if something a cropper happens between the two of them, Adam Volkovich, he's only 6 seconds behind these two. He's sniffing out a potential win. There goes Josh down the centre of the road, and Ross just moves over to the left. He says, go on then, Josh. If you want to go past, I'm absolutely fine with that. Into the chicane. The problem is, if you play that game, you've got to nail your corner exits. Look at how good that BMW is on corner exit. The grip and the grunt that it has out of the corner. But this is where the Lamborghini is going to gain now. That more slippery design to it, more aerodynamic design to it. Slow down, close long. Pulls over to the driver's right, but backs out of it. Ross doesn't want that place yet. He wants to at least make a move either out of this one or out of Mulsanne heading to Indianapolis.
Leave the cones alone. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it is actually genuinely scary having that Lamborghini creep up on you. It's such a fantastically evil looking car. But the BMW at the moment holding its ground. But yeah, like you say, Josh is doing everything he can do to maximise his own speed, despite the fact he knows he's going to give Ross some slipstream here. You know, he's not going to be fussed about it yet. It's not quite crunch time now. It's going to be these next couple of seconds that are going to make all the difference. They come into Mulsanne, hard onto the brakes, try and carry as much speed as you can, really run the car out wide, don't clip the gravel, don't lose any speed whatsoever. This could be the telling point now, Paul, because Ross might want to get it done here, or he might want to get it done out of Arnage.
Well, here we are then, the run down to Indianapolis. It's one of the fastest parts of this track. And now, Ross McFarlane looking to the outside. Josh has set his stall. He says, if you're going to go the long way around. Oh. He does, but Josh is going to slip back into the slipstream here, looking into Indianapolis. No move being made. Now it is, down the inside into Indianapolis itself. The road is cambered there. It helps Ross out of the corner. Into Arnage they go. Onto the brakes. This is the last lap, don't forget. Out of Arnage they go. Josh needs to sit in that slipstream right now. Get the run towards Porsche curves, get alongside Ross because he can compromise Ross here. Look at that BMW getting bigger and bigger in the camera shot here as we're heading in towards Porsche curves for the final time. Lamborghini and BMW side by side through the corner, and Josh, he's just got the inside. Ross backs out of it, but this one isn't over yet because we've got the final few corners. But that BMW, look at it, it's so good through the high-speed stuff. That is what has helped Josh Thompson throughout this race to keep the lead as he heads towards the Ford chicane. There's a flash of the headlights from Ross McFarlane. He realises that he is not going to catch Josh. Into the Ford chicane they go, and Josh Thompson, he just needs to get his line right. Through the chicane he goes, and it's going to be a race win for Josh Thompson here in round number 8 of the World GT Championship. Absolutely sensational stuff. We've had an incident further down your order. Jack Osborne, by the way, has had a major incident, and I believe that was with Selim Centre. It's 3 wide on that run down towards, and yeah, you're always on a hiding to nothing there, trying to make that gap work in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, out of all 3 of them there, Selim was the one that could have backed out of it. He was the one in the middle, knew where the cars either side of him were. He should have backed out of that one there and maybe tried to work it into Indy. But what a fantastic bit of racing that was between Josh Thompson and Ross McFarlane. I mean, I said that they were both absolute professionals and masters of their craft even before that amazing racing, but that was incredible. I mean, the fact that Josh went for that move down the inside, managed to get it stopped on the apex into Indy, but Ross carried the speed around the outside as well. That was insane. But then for Josh to go all the way around the outside in the start of the Porsche curves and make that stick, great respect from Ross as well to let him slot back in front and not cut across him. Absolutely beautiful racing. A lot of people could learn from watching that battle there. When to push, when not to. Great race. Absolutely great race.
Yeah, the level of respect between the two was absolutely sensational. I absolutely agree with that. Simon Neller, Mike Horder, they're battling it out to the Ford chicane, and it's going to be Simon Neller who comes across the line in 30th place. Further down as well, Ben Gregory is ahead of Maciej Sakovic, who's had a bit of a hit, miss and hit sort of day for him in 37th, or is he? Because he's struggling to get to the line. In fact, Sakovic loses a position to Nick Salaputis at the end there. I have a funny feeling Maciej, the graduated race engineer from University of Coventry, has run out of fuel across the line. I mean, if anything, you'd say he's pretty much got that spot on.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. I mean, he certainly cut it fine is the word, I think. But, yeah, great stuff, though, all through the race. We've seen these guys try and make the fuel work for as long as they could. But now, look, Paul, I've missed this. Flipping heck, I've missed this. Let's see what we got on the reverse grid wheel.
Yes, let's see, indeed. So, don't forget, we do have 2 spots where you do not have a reverse grid. That wheel is slowing down. It's getting closer to that logo, but I don't think it's going to make it. We'll give it a chance. It's
Go
not
on,
going to
for me.
make it there. No, it's not going to make it there. It is going to be 30th. It's going to be the reverse grid. There you go. Confirmation, it is 30. So, when we get the official results up on screen, thank you very much, Hugo, we'll go through those for you. So Josh Thompson wins this one for Was Cooking by 3M ahead of Ross McFarlane by 0.7 of a second for the Pure Sims Esports driver. Great result for Adam Volkovic, started third and finishes third for the German SimRacing.de by ACV driver. Reece Carroll, great debut for him. He started fourth and finishes fourth for 3M UK. Luke McEwen, absolutely sensational drive from the youngster, up to 5th place from 40th for the Team Redline driver, with Adam Watson 6th ahead of Leon Penn. David Baker in 8th place ahead of Philip Koenig. Mark Hutchinson, the top Pro-Am driver, in 10th place. Christian Rose then 2nd place in Pro-Am in 11th ahead of James Crouch, who finishes off the podium for Pro-Am in 12th place. Chris Malsharek, Michael Avdoka, Paul Webster, Adam State, Pete Harrod, Tim Perry ahead of Chris Van der Ness and Matt Woodhouse. 21st is going to be your winning AM driver of Lars Van Rijn ahead of Jensen Adriansons, with Brendan Stacey then in 23rd. Marvin Lesmorman, what could have been for Marvin here today. Really solid drive, and unfortunately, mistake at the Porsche curves drops him down the order. James Whitehouse, 2nd place in AM in 25th ahead of Eric Haag, and Michael Blake 3rd place in AM in 27th. Selim Centre is classified as 28th ahead of Simon Field, and Simon Neller, 30th place, is going to be on pole position for race number 2. Mike Horder and Alex Neller are the next two, with Philip Elsner, Jesse Payne Wilkins, Andy Gilmore, Ben Gregory was involved in a few things there. Nick Salaputis up to 37th from where he started, 11 places gained for him, ahead of Magic Sakovic. Jack Osborne and Tom Brown rounding out 40th. Then the final drivers, Toby Ward and Andy Archer on the lead lap. Adam Hedgecock, Kevin Kittleman and Rhys Saunders 1 lap down, and then the drivers who did not finish, Lee Berridge, John Roberts, Jack Belton and Craig Jones. Wow, that was a first race and a half, that one, Chaz. And the thing is, we've got another 40 minutes to go yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that we get these two feature races in one night. You know, it's really good fun, because a lot of series, you know, we'd get the one race and that'd be that. You know, we'd be completely done from that point. But it is great that we get to do 2 of these in one night. Just adds to the enjoyment, you know. Again, I've come back for one night only, and I've witnessed a fantastic race straight off the bat. Cannot wait for the second one as well. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. And even with the reverse grid as well, you know, we've not just got the sort of 1 or 2 drivers that are making their way back through the field. We've got most of the field from the front end that are going to be trying to charge forward as soon as possible, because we've seen how important track position is in this first race.
Absolutely. I mean, we've waxed lyrical about Luke McEwen's drive through the field. Worth pointing out, Michael Avdoka gained 27 positions in that race as well from the back of the grid. You know, it's people like that. Simon Neller, who finished in 30th, he gained 17 places in that race. You know, so he's had a really good one. You compare that to Rhys Saunders, he lost 32 places, did not finish the race. It's been a tale of those who have and those who haven't. Oh, Michael Blake as well, I've just noticed, 19 places gained in this field as well. Eric Haag, 16. So there's been some really big gainers out of this, but some big losers out of this as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, when a race is longer, there's more chance for you to get things done and crack on and make some progress, but there's also longer for things to go wrong, unfortunately, and it's more likely. You know, you and I both know it, how harsh endurance racing can be when they're 6, 12, 24-hour races. Even just a 45-minute race or a 40-minute race, you know, they can really take their toll. As I said earlier, this isn't sprint racing. It's not 20 minutes where everyone's just going guns blazing straight to the flag. You know, there's more elements to it. There's drivers on maybe just slightly different strategies, 1 lap out from each other, and if you just trip over each other while you're all trying to sort yourselves out, that can just be so I don't even know completely what the word is, but it can be really sort of soul destroying, because that is your one chance. And I think that's what makes a difference in a series like this, because you know that your time is limited in this championship. You've only got a certain amount of rounds left. You know, we're getting to the sharp end of the season now. It's going to be even more heartbreaking if something goes wrong in these races for people.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the one more race coming up shortly for you all. Stick around for that one because it will be sensational. Next week we do head on over to Mossport as well for 3 sprint races. That's 3 20-minute races. So that'll be chaotic to say the least. I have not so fond memories of carnage at Turn 2 in the World GT Championship when I raced in it all those years ago. And then we finish off the final part of the season. 3 rounds. There's an endurance, there's a feature, there's a sprint to finish it off. That mix-up, the mix of having those longer races, these races like we've got tonight, where it's a bit of time to... You've got a bit of a hurry on, but you've also got a bit of time to actually make a move. And then the sprint races, which just absolutely balmy. It's what makes this championship so unique and so wanted by so many people.
Yeah, definitely, and it's where World GT Championship started. We always had 3 20-minute races in one night, even from when I joined it in Season 2 and started helping out with everything. It's always been the thing that they've clung on to, which, like you say, makes it very unique, because GT cars, you always see them in these longer 40 to sort of 1 hour, even 24-hour races. They're always about the 1 hour mark in their sprint racing configurations that they have, but real sort of touring car style 20-minute sprint races are really good fun in GT cars, and I think that's one thing that I really hope will never leave this championship, one element of it that always has to stay. But as we've discussed before, the mix of the different types of racing with your 3 sprints, your 2 feature races and your enduros, it gives people with a different bag of talent another opportunity to shine. It's not just the drivers that can make the cutthroat moves and fly through a pack that show off their talents. It's the people that can save fuel, work on strategies, like we just saw there with Josh Thompson and Ross McFarlane. Those drivers really do have a platform and a pedestal to stand on, because some of them are so well calculated with all of it that they just absolutely nail it. And it's a fine art. It really is.
It really is. It's absolutely... It's showing that adaptability, and that's a key word of it, is that adaptability. And you found that some drivers get it. Some drivers do get it as soon as they come into the series, and they've never taken part in these 20-minute races. The sprint races with reverse grids and having to drive up against drivers who they're not used to driving against. And I think back to like Moreno Sarica. He got it immediately, and he didn't try and force moves. He knew he was quicker than drivers and would make those moves when they could happen. And you've had some other drivers who have come into the series who have got this big aura of, oh my god, it's that driver, and they haven't got it, and they've just driven through people because they're not used to other drivers having to braking an extra 10-15 meters before they would.
Yeah, and that's one of the beauties of the championship. I think both of us will remember very, well, maybe not fondly, back to Season 5 when the championship first ever moved into their GTE phase. And we had so many pro teams and pro drivers come into the championship. No disrespect to the admins. It was mayhem. It was absolute mayhem, because a lot of these drivers are at such a high level. They're used to racing with drivers of that level. And like you say, they're not used to people having such a variation in pace, in braking so much earlier. If they have a bad race 1, starting in the back in race 2, they wouldn't be used to having to pick through people that brake so much earlier than them, or don't carry as much speed, or have an aggressive setup like them. And having that element in addition is what makes this championship so fun, even on top of everything else that we've discussed. It's got so many different elements to it, and that's why I love it. It's just so much entertainment. But yeah, season 5 was quite a bit of mayhem, to be honest with you. I mean, I think we both raced that season, didn't we?
Yeah, well, you might not think of it fondly, but I think of it fondly because I was a Season 5 Pro-Am team champion, thank you very much.
You guys, you were in the Porsche GT,
yes. So I have fond memories of Season 5. I don't know about you, but I loved it. It was great for me.
I was with...
it was my team name on the door.
It was, yeah, true. I was with Beast Racing at that point, and it was me, Tom Jacobs, and Steve Burke, flipping heck. It was a long time since that. Steve messaged me the other day, actually, in the old group chat for that, quite funnily enough, but I can't tell you what he said. We had, you know what Steve's like, but there were so many like elements of the championship where it went through changes where we got these pro drivers in, and like you say, the likes of Moreno Sirica, he just got it straight away. I think that season with the Williams Esports Z4s, Arana, Sirica, and Thompson, that was just such a joy to watch. The three of them just broke away, absolutely disappeared up the road, and then as soon as the second and final pit stop was done, it was just gloves off, go, race. And it was so entertaining because we knew what to expect from it. It was always going to be a 1-2-3 for them boys. But then the rest of the racing behind was still great. That was when we changed back to I think it was season 7. We went back to GT3s again.
GT3s, yes.
And it was just awesome. Absolutely awesome. And
I think Seb Hawkins didn't have fond memories of watching those three battling it out.
No, probably not, to be honest. Probably not. But, at the time, we didn't give one because it was for our gain, our entertainment. The drivers loved it as well, though. I mean, I remember Alex Arana in particular. He was always saying in the Discord chat how much he enjoyed that. And Alex is such a funny guy. He's so entertaining. He just loves the racing. He loves the chase. He loves the battles. He's not always one of these result-focused drivers which you can get. And I think with this championship, a lot of the drivers all know each other. They all get on really well. I think there's a lot of guys in here that are just, they've been in it since day one and they're still in it because they love the racing itself. They're not going to get all mad and angry because they finished 40th. It's a bit disappointing when that happens, but as long as you've had a good night's fighting, you could have had an amazing battle for 40th place. And that'll be it. That's all people want out of it. And I really do stand with that because that can make the difference to how good your night is, no matter what your results are.
Yeah, we're just getting ourselves into the second race session, everybody, so you're not missing anything. The drivers will be just getting a little bit of a warm-up. I could tell you that it is into the evening, so the lights will be starting to come into effect in this one. Not completely dark, not like we were in the World Touring Car Series on Thursday night at Sebring. That was an experience that some of us would rather forget. But yeah, don't forget, World Touring Car Series from the World Sim Racing organisers of this championship. That is also shown on RaceSpotTV. There's 2 feature races. That's 2 40-minute races in touring cars around the Hungara Ring on Thursday. Make sure you join us for all the coverage from that. That's 7:45 UK time. That's 6:45 UTC here on RaceSpotTV. So make sure you do check that out. And whilst you're looking around on the interweb at the World GT Championship, do make sure you check out their sponsors as well. Coach Dave Academy, brand new sponsor to the series this season, and they are joined as always by 3M UK as well. So make sure you check out the series sponsors who do support this championship in a very, very big way, providing prizes for one thing for the drivers here in this championship. So there's some really, really good prizes for these championships that these drivers can get, as well as a trophy.
Yeah, definitely, and that's something we're seeing more of now as well, and that's what I love about it, is that these brands and these companies, they don't just pay to put a logo on the stream like these ones up here. They actually, there are prizes, there are products on offer. Coach Dave Academy, I've worked with David Perrell on Coach Dave Academy for quite a while now. I say quite a while as if it's been consistent, but I did their first broadcasted race for them a long time ago as lockdown started. And it's such a great brand that is always growing, that alongside the Sim Grid, which Dave is also a part of as well and has been running since day dot. But, just setups, things that help you in the sim and things that really just improve your performance, whether it be gloves and boots and whatever, just to add to that immersion, or whether it is something software related or even hardware as well. There's so many great brands in sim racing now, and all of them have their own place. None of them are out of place at all, and everybody just has a great market together. And I think that to see more and more brands, 2 at a time coming onto one series is great. Not just for the series, but for the brands as well. They get to share the sort of the title ownership of this incredible racing that we get to witness time and time again. And to have your name on something like this is really, really important for a brand like that. It has to be said.
Well, we've got, as you can see in the clock in the corner, just under 3.5 minutes remaining in the warm-up for these drivers to get themselves prepared. I can tell you that the conditions out there on track are a lot cooler for them in the second race. So track temperature down 8 degrees Celsius for them. I mean, the tyres won't be an issue for these drivers. As we mentioned in that first race, it's all about fuel. And the fuel number that you can get, and if you can get that fuel number right, then you are on to a really good result.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we saw how close you can cut it before. Thank you to Maciej Sakovic for that one. He certainly displayed just how you can creep the car across the line. But at the same time, the drivers will have learned from what they've done in race 1. This is the thing. A lot of them come into this second race of the night. Even with the different conditions, they'll be armed with the information from the first one. You know, it's hard to simulate a race run because you can't simulate every single scenario, when you've got traffic, when you've not, who you're racing with, what pace they are, and so on. And I think now they've had a definite race run in that first race, and they will come to this one thinking, right, I know exactly where I need to be on this lap, this lap, this lap, and so on, and when to pit, when I can maybe eke out a bit more fuel, when I should push, and, you know, who to expect to be around. Because for some reason, I mean, I experienced it firsthand that people's pace at a circuit like Le Mans or Nürburgring or Bathurst, as we discussed earlier, can be so different to every other circuit you go to. I don't know why, but just helping out with the slipstream and so on, the first time I ever raced here, I was on fire. I was in the top 5 in the World GT Championship, and I don't get why, because I was barely in the top 35 everywhere else. But it was just that one race where the conditions are just completely different. And I think to see a number of drivers making use of that tonight is going to be really interesting, especially for this second race. You really have to adapt. And Vulkovic, I must say, is somebody I'm excited to watch again in that second one. He was very under the radar, but I'm expecting big things.
He'll be starting 28th, will Adam, in this second race. We'll get the grid up in about a minute and a bit's time for you all to see, so don't panic, don't go anywhere. Get yourselves a snack, sit back and enjoy the action here on RaceSpotTV. It's Paul Smith, and for this week only, Chaz Drake on the World GT Championship. Hugo Luis behind the scenes giving us these pictures that you are enjoying in front of you right now. And well, these drivers, they've got a bit of time just to get themselves prepared. Some, they like to get out here, they like to just test out the conditions, see how the setup feels. Some, like myself, I can sit back, relax, have a break, and go do a hygiene or something like that, and just get yourselves ready for the second race. Look, Chaz, when you get to a certain age, you need to go sooner rather than later. You'll find this out the hard way, trust me.
Oh man, I'm not far off. I don't feel like I'm far off these days, mate. But yeah, I know what you mean though. You know, everybody's got their own rituals, their own sort of processes over the course of an evening. You know, some of these drivers will think they need to really get used to the conditions because, like you said, 8 degrees Celsius will make a massive amount of difference on how the car feels. Some drivers might already be attuned to that. You know, they'll just develop it as the race goes on. Others, they might just take a few laps out there just to get used to any differences they can feel. You know, some people notice it more than others, but either way, we've got a grid now and we are ready to go.
Yep, so it is Simon Neller who starts this one on pole position, shared on the front row with Simon Field. Selim Sentek, he's going to be one to look out for in this second race. Alongside him, Michael Blake with Eric Haag and James Whitehouse on row number 3. Row number 4 for Marvin Lesmoman. Again, another one to keep an eye on in this race with Brendan Stacey. Jensen Adriansens and Lars van Rijn, row number 5 with Mark Woodhouse and Chris van der Nest, row number 6. Row 7 for Tim Perry and Pete Harrod with Adam State and Paul Webster on row number 7. Row 8 for Michael Evdoka and Christian Malcharek. That was row 9, because this is row 10. It's James Crouch and Christian Rose with Mark Hutchison, Philip Koenig, David Baker and Leon Penn on row number 12. Watson and McEwen with Carroll, Volkovic, McFarlane and Race 1 winner Josh Thompson. And the rest of the field, Horder, Neller, Elsner, Payne Wilkins, Gilmore and Gregory. Salaputis, Sakovic, Osborne, Brown, Ward and Archer. And still they come. Adam Hedgecock with Kevin Kittleman. Rhys Saunders, he'll be hoping for a bit of a recovery drive. Lee Berridge, John Roberts, Jack Belton. And that is 48 cars. We are missing one car from the grid, and the Chevy Silverado is at the front of the field, which tells you that Alex Neller went and set this session up for race number 2. But Chaz, we saw race number 1 then. What are you thinking for this second race? Do you think this is going to be something like Selim Sentek or Marvin Lesmoman to potentially win this one?
I think, yeah, Les Molman's a good shout. He's the highest placed pro on the grid for this one at the minute, so it's hard to know, though, because some of these guys make such different amounts of progress through a field early on, so I'm excited to see. Wanted to just quickly touch on Gilmore and Gregory. What a fantastic row that is. It sounds like a start-up firm of solicitors, but either way, they're two drivers to certainly look out for as they make their way through. Simon Neller, though, leading this field away. I'm sure he's going to have a few nerves right now. Simon Field is somebody that's always been there. There are the Partuis de France in the top right using their wonderful Alpha Jet aircraft. Of course, I know that. But still, we look back from this Chevy Silverado, which is the most out-of-place thing in the circuit right now, and it's almost time to go, Paul.
Certainly is. That tricolor is showing through very nicely indeed in that sky here. It is sunset for these drivers. We're getting all set for the second race of the evening. It is round number 8 of the World GT Championship. And these drivers will be getting themselves ready. The pace car will, or the pace truck, will pull off to the right-hand side. Simon Neller is going, and Senturk is trying to follow him here. He wants to get to the front of this field in the very early going indeed. But look at the drive that Simon Field got out of the final chicane. Through turn number 1. Don't forget, cold tyres, cold brakes. Careful, boys, on lap number 1. A little bit of a hip check between the two of them, and they make it through the double chicane, or do they? Because now Michael Blake's trying to get involved in this one. They're all checking up, and this is allowing Simon Neller to pull away. If he can pull away a big enough gap here, Simon, he could break the slipstream here.
Never mind cold brakes and cold tyres. It was cold shoulder there for Selim Senturk. Absolutely have some of that. He tried to turn in a little bit early on Simon Field just to squeeze him to the apex. Didn't work out initially, but now it has. But like you say, Simon Neller, he's going to start to break away if these guys fight too early on. Everybody making their way down the straight for the first time, and look at them fanning out in the background, just trying to make whatever positions they can while the field is at its most bunched up. This is the important time to do it, but there's some fantastic scraps going on. Another wonderful sight to see these cars coming down here in the twilight, Paul. Look at that.
They're going 2-3 wide down towards the first chicane. Onto the brakes. Can they all make it through cleanly? That is the question. The first lap of race number 1, we didn't get a completely clean start. So far, so good for everybody out there. I can tell you that Luke McEwen has already moved up 3 places in this race. He's up to 23rd. Josh Thompson up 4 places, up to 26. So real chargers from that, what was the first and second places. Selim Senturk down the inside into the second chicane at Michelin, and he takes the race lead here in the World GT Championship. Out of that corner towards Mulsanne, up over the rise where famously, of course, Matt Webber went up and over. Peter Dunbrek as well, didn't he? Went up and over there as well. Fortunately, they have flattened that out somewhat, that rise. Still a challenge for these cars. Down towards Mulsanne. Look at them. Off into the top left corner goes that cone. The drivers, they don't care about these cones out there. They want the best position on track. And right now, they're sorting themselves out here out of Mulsanne corner.
I've just seen it go flying past my window. It just absolutely launched that cone, didn't they? Poor thing. But look at that train going down to Indy. That is a hell of a sight, is it not? Wonderful stuff, and it's great to see as well that this championship continues to retain a massive amount of drivers. Like you were saying before, Paul, it's such an in-demand championship.
Car.
Oh, yeah.
That's Michael Avdoka. Don't say he's got a slow down penalty on lap number 1. We've got a car has gone off at Indianapolis. It's Brendan Stacey. God blimey, he couldn't park it much further off the track there if he tried. There's another car off. This is Adam State, I do believe, in the satellite racing car. And that Porsche, he's dropped all the way down to the back of the field. At the front, Selim Senturk, he's not getting everything his own way, though. Simon Neller was pushing him. Senturk now into the Porsche curves for the first time. This is the first time he has led a World GT Championship race.
Yeah, I tell you what, Brendan Stacey was that far off the road. He was almost at Paul Ricard, wasn't he? He was absolutely miles away. Absolutely miles away off in the car park as a spectator. He had to pay to get back in. But either way, it is Selim Senturk who has made an absolute bolt for it at the front. It's been a fantastic start from him. I mean, you called it straight away, Paul, that he was going to get on with it from the get-go. Simon Nellett and Simon Field having the battle of the Simons in second and third. James Whitehouse fourth, Michael Blake fifth. Eric Haag just behind these guys, but look at that there. Gorgeous stuff. I love that shot from the grandstand, looking over the entire Ford chicane. Oh, now here is the issue. So that's Brendan Stacey, and you're not going to get back on. You can't park there, mate. But either way...
Can't park there, sir.
No, you cannot. Not at all. But to be fair, I don't think that was all by choice. Adam State certainly put him there, I think it's safe to say. But it was just that tiny bit of contact, but at that speed, it's got such a massive amplified effect, hasn't it?
Good grief. Well, Chris Maltrek, Lee Berridge and Adam State, they're all on pit road. They're getting a pit stop there, feeling the need to get repairs. Worth pointing out, the race lead right now, 2.5 seconds over Simon Nella and Simon Field. Unbelievable. Great car control, I must say, from the Ferrari driver of Chris Van Der Nest. That was sensational out of Tete Rouge. Down the Mulsanne straight, the first part of it at least. Keeping an eye on what's going on here. Here is Eric Haag. You've got cars going 3 wide there, and they sort themselves out. Well, Marvin Lesmorman, we thought that he would be one of those that would be moving forward. He's only stayed in where he started, in 7th place.
Yeah, indeed. Not much progress from the 666 machine so far. But you never know. I mean, we've spoken about it before, that certain drivers, you know, they can take a bit of time just to get into a rhythm of a race, just take it easy on the opening laps and then start to push a little bit further down. But he's at the front of this queue right now. That's the important thing. He's the one that is pushing all of the air, and he's having to just wait for these guys to go inevitably past him. In front goes Eric Haag into the chicane, and then there's more of them queuing up behind. Mark Woodhouse there in the number 38 Porsche. He's ready to pounce on Eric. But this is, again, just this moment of the race here where everybody starts to sort of shuffle into their own little groups and their own little packs. Mark Woodhouse moves to the right-hand side of Eric Haag. And he now... Sorry, go on.
You don't need to look further back, though, really, from these guys, because they're all fighting. Luke McEwen is up to 13th now, up 13 places. Josh Thompson is right with Luke in 14th place. He's up 16 places. Ross McFarlane, he's up 13 places as well. Those three have been on an absolute charge from starting 30th or a little bit higher than that.
Yeah, they've been really getting on with it early on, but this is the thing, when the field is more bunched up and people are starting to battle and sort themselves out in these opening phases, that's when drivers like Josh and like Luke can really pick out those opportunities. They're so good at identifying potential moves and potential places. They can just go for it, and before you know it, you've been overtaken by them. You know, I mean, I'm sure we've both been on the receiving end of many an overtaking move by drivers like them at the start of some of these World GT Championship races. You're just getting on with your own job thinking, yeah, I've had an all right start here, and they come past you doing almost double the speed. It's nuts. On board with Les Mollman now, though, 7th place still. He's got Adrianson's... No, he doesn't seem it, does he, actually? So he's certainly hoping for more forward progress, but it's not come yet. Well, he's got the number 25 Audi just in front of him there, Jensen, the Pro-Am driver. And look at the run that he's got through the Porsche curves, but he can't go anywhere. So frustrating, because he could carry so much speed, but there's just cars in the way, Paul. It's just a brick wall made of Audis and Porsches. As down the inside, that's surely an opportunity. Look at that. That is the moment you want, and that is what makes the difference. Les Mollman saw that. He waited for it, and he went, you know what? Thank you very much, boys. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, Jensen Adrianson's made the move on Michael Blake, and Marvin says, oh, thank you very much. You two are compromised. I'll take that place. As Luke McEwen and Josh Thompson make their way past Paul Webster to make up another place. Worth pointing out, race leader is 4.3 seconds in the lead right now. His last lap was a 53.5. Compare that to Simon Field, a 55.4. 1.9 seconds slower, Simon Field, on that last lap. I mean, he's going to be looking behind more than he's looking forward soon if he's not careful.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, you always want to have eyes forward, but as soon as you start to feel pressure from drivers behind and you start to realise that you might be in a bit of trouble and you're in danger, then it can really get in your head, to be honest with you. As soon as you know there's a driver behind that's quicker, that looked very wide out there then from Les Mollman, but look at the run that he's got on the car in front. That was fantastic stuff. now. Side by side down the straight once more. Tries to move over a little bit just to make the move. And he's... I tell you what, he's got a sense of humour, hasn't he? I love that. Absolutely
He's running more wing. I think he must be running more wing, especially after what happened in race 1.
Yeah.
Don't forget, losing it at the Porsche curves. And he must have just a ton more wing on that car compared to Simon Neller, who was in front of him. Look at them all fanning out. Look, McEwen, one of those cars, fanning out behind. They're going too wide further back, and we've got a bit of bump drafting going on, I think, for Luke here. And I think, looking at that nose, that's got to be Josh Thompson.
There's the eyes, of the sort of snake eyes of the BMW. Lovely stuff by Josh. It's almost like he heard us and he was like, watch this. But look at them all on the brakes, moving around. There's a Porsche on the right-hand side. They're really closing in. Wow, I tell you what, people always say that it's difficult racing at night because your vision is sort of impaired. I mean, even in the sim, it just gives that effect. iRacing's night racing is so realistic these days that you do feel the manic panic of night racing and the absolute chaos that it brings with it. But Luke McEwen and Josh Thompson trying to pick their way through this. Luke's doing an amazing job once again. He's very close, though, to the car to his left-hand side. Just about they make it together. Is he going to make 2 moves out of that? Yes, he is. Down the inside of Tim Perry. Thank you very much. Oh, a little bit naughty on the exit. Tim Perry comes back on. Everybody absolutely cacks their pants and flies over to the right. But, yeah, that was, I'd say, a little bit naughty from Luke. But that's one of those little rough edges we were talking about earlier, is it not, Paul?
Yeah, he just got a little bit too deep there and tried to take advantage of taking 2 spots. Here's Josh Thompson. He's got the Backlund Evo SR car and Eric Haag there. Look McEwen. Oh, don't try this, Josh. This is not going to end well at all. Yes, it is. He's gone around the outside and into Indianapolis. How on earth? That BMW must have the stickiest tyres in the whole of sim racing.
Oh my God, I put my head in my hands as soon as he did that. Unbelievable stuff again from Josh. But that just shows, I mean, that carries on from the narrative we were on about earlier with the grip around the Porsche curves in the first race when he overtook Ross McFarlane. Incredible confidence in that BMW by Josh Thompson, and the grip that it's got, like you say, absolutely unbelievable, that car. And to be honest with you, is it not? It's only one of about 4 BMWs in the race, isn't it? So not many people are using it, but look at that. It does get a bit of a wiggle on. He doesn't go around Luke McEwen, granted, but I don't think he needs to for that to be impressive. That was incredible.
Kevin Kittleman's had an issue, and Adam Hedgecock as well. On
no!
Oh, that's a big incident! That's huge contact! That's going back into the track!
Oh, no.
Car upside down! That's the 25 of Jensen Adriansen's. Well, you're not getting back onto your wheels after that one. Simon Neller, I believe, was involved in that one. We're going to have a look at that one again. Lars van Rijn as well is showing us stopped out on track. Oh, that was a huge incident, and it was the car bouncing back on that made it so much worse. Yeah,
one of them ran wide through Mason. Oh, there was quite a bit of netcode involved. But look, just as Van Rijn came back on, there was nothing that Adriansens can do there. He got very lucky, actually, and everybody else did, because the cars that hit him didn't seem to have their trajectories affected by that. They just sort of drove through him like he wasn't there. But there was quite a bit of netcode touching there going on. You could see that the cars weren't actually touching, but just a little bit wide of the apex. I think it was Simon Neller, wasn't it, that was just a little bit wide of the apex on the way in. But that corner is off camber, so he did just slide that little bit wide, and that tiny touch happened. It's such a shame that that's how it ended.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but teammates Tim Perry and Alex Neller have both gone off going into Tete Rouge. I can see it on my timing screen and on my track map. So the 2 teammates from Boosted Virage have both ended up the wrong way around out there on track, so that they've both got back going though, so that's the main thing. They are keeping going, so obviously not terminally damaged, but still they will have lost a ton of positions. Tim Perry is now down in 35th, Alex Neller down to 40th place, and here's a replay. There's Alex Neller, Tim Perry.
Oh, no.
So Neller's lost it. Tim Perry's already off elsewhere.
Yeah, I think Tim maybe lost it on his own, maybe worrying about what was going on behind him, just checked his mirrors, lost focus on the corner coming up. And you know what, Neller's done the right thing there. You could say he could escape the car, but for the sake of his race, it's not damaged. You know, he's waited and he stayed still. He's made the car predictable because it's not moving. And that's the main thing. You know, he could just creep forward a little bit. One car went past him at the front, and I think he realised in the end it's very unlikely that was going to happen again. So off he went. Now, this is Simon Field and Les Mollman. Those bunch of headlights coming towards us. I was going to say a pair, but there's 2 pairs at least. Lamborghini with the endurance light bar on the front of it as well. And at the moment, Les Mollman holds on, but look in the distance. Absolute pitch black darkness because Selim Şentürk has gone 9.1 seconds, 9.2 seconds now to the good. Selim, well, he's absolutely disappeared. Well, you could say he's sent it. That was scraping the bottom of the barrel, I'm sorry. I bet you're glad I'm only here for one night.
Luke McEwen, 4th place, right behind these guys. Josh Thompson, 6th place. You got Ross McFarlane, 8th place. Those are drivers who are towards the front of your Pro Championship. Ross McFarlane and Luke McEwen's especially at the top of your Pro standings. Those guys have just been working their way through like a hot knife through butter. And they have gained so many positions here. There's a car off in the background there at Arnage. I believe it's Webster. It is. Webster's slow. He's going back going again. But he's down to 20th place now.
I think there was a couple of other cars involved as well. There's 2 Audis going slowly. That's the car from 9th place that, well, started this lap in 9th place at least. The Audi on his right-hand side.
Simon Neller.
Yeah, Simon Neller got stuck up in that one as well. Still fighting on the way into the Porsche curves. Here's a look at it then. Yeah, Simon had already lost a bunch of places. It's just the tiniest bit of contact. Don't necessarily think Simon ran wide, but I think maybe Paul just didn't quite leave the room on the inside. But they got away with that lightly, I'd say there, Paul. They may have come to a stop and lost places, but it's better than getting terminal damage, isn't it?
Certainly is, yeah. Luke McEwen has caught up to 3rd and 2nd place here. If I'm Marvin Les Mollman, I'm absolutely spitting feathers right now because Simon Field and Marvin Les Mollman, they're losing time on the race leader all the while that they're fighting. And Luke McEwen is just saying, okay, thank you very much. Almost into the back of Simon Field. Simon Field gets helped out of the way by Marvin Les Mollman. Not entirely, I don't think, at fault for that. But yeah, there you go. And there's an accident. That's James Crouch getting fired off. Don't tell me that's Adam Watson who's got into the side of him. I do believe it is. And Crouch at the Dunlop chicane finds himself back on track, but further down your order. Oh, he's down in 29th place from that contact, whereas Adam Watson is 16th at the moment, so it was a battle for 16th. Oh, they were going 3 wide into the chicane. That never works.
No, it doesn't, and to be honest,
Thompson! On the live pictures, Thompson has got ahead of McEwen.
Oh, wow, he has as well. That's important. Very, very important, and it's now a case of will Josh lead them forward, or will they continue to battle here? Because in the long ski, well, in the bigger picture of things at least, if they do keep battling, any tenths they lose is time they're not going to get back on Selim Şentürk, who is now over 11 seconds clear of 2nd place. But look at this. Les Mollman says, go on, boys. Off you go. You crack on.
Well, those two have been bump drafting each other all the way through this field, it seems, because McEwen's right up the diffuser of Josh Thompson's car, and moving forward then. So 2nd place for Josh, 3rd place for Luke McEwen. They're 10.7 seconds behind Selim Şentürk. That's important to remember. Keep that in mind. 10.7 seconds. We're just over half of the race to go yet, with 22 minutes remaining of this 40-minute race, and we have also got mandatory pit stops to think about in all of this as well. But this has been an unbelievable drive, not just by these guys, also Ross McFarlane 6th place is up 23 places. Josh Thompson 28 places, sorry, gained by Josh.
Yeah, fantastic drive by both of them, and the fact that they've done it together as well, it just makes it even more entertaining, doesn't it? The fact that they are just sort of working together as this unit through the field, and as soon as they get their chance, they're going to battle so ferociously. But right now, Marvin Les Mollman is just about sticking with them, to be fair. The slipstream's helping him, but you've got to think that in these next couple of sections, he might not be able to keep up. He's been very impressive in terms of the pace tonight, considering that he's running more wing, as we suspect. But, I mean, well, He's one of the names in the championship that's new to me as of this season, and he's really impressed me so far. Selim Senturk has really kept his head at the front of the pack as well. Still 10.3 seconds, but it was 10.7 a few moments ago, was it not?
Certainly was. That's absolutely right. And well, Marvin Lesmallman, I mean, he's doing the right thing now of trying to stick with Thompson and McEwen, as Ross McFarlane has made his way past on the timing tower there. So he's up into 5th place, although he has not got the slipstream of those cars in front. Further down your order, this is some battle further down for 21st right now, and Rhys Saunders is involved in that. There's that distinctive year 1 livery. You can't mistake that on that BMW, that's for sure, as they go through the Porsche curves. And he's got Adam Volkovich and Tom Brown with him. Brown, of course, who had an incident in that first race at Indianapolis, and he's doing not too bad this race, 17 places gained. Rhys Saunders, of course, started at the back of the field. He's up 24 places in this one. So good recovery drive from Rhys so far, as we've got our first pitters here.
Yeah, they seem quite peppered around as well, don't they? It's not like it was one big group. There was just a couple of drivers from each group started to come in. But you're very right, Paul. You know, there's some drivers here that have been doing a fantastic performance so far, picking off those places as and when they can, like we saw in the first race as well. You know, that we saw, I think it was Salaputis we were talking about, was making up a lot of ground as the race went on. Doesn't look like we've actually got him in this one, unfortunately. I think he is the one driver we are missing. Yeah, can't see him up and down the order, I'm afraid, but after a first one, it's quite interesting to see he's not here for this. As you see, though, a slight pit party for now under the lights here at Le Mans. It's a wonderfully glamorous start-finish straight with that humongous Michelin hoarding sign thing, isn't it? Brilliant to see. And now we have drivers coming back out of the pit lane. Thank you to Hugo for this wonderful shot. We can follow them all the way out the pit lane under the Rolex banner. And away they go to continue the race. Already only 20 minutes left, Paul, halfway through. Something's happened to James Crouch because he's retired from the race. He's actually disconnected from the server, and that's him out of this race. But yeah, you've had Philip Koenig, Adam Volkovich, Mike Horder, Paul Webster, Christian Rose, Simon Neller, Jack Osborne on pit road. You've got Nick Salaputis is out there on this one, as well as also Jack Osborne was on pit road, Tim Perry, Alex Neller, Andy Gilmore as well. So really, these drivers, they're going for that halfway pit stop, whereas a lot of these drivers will want to go as long as possible. Yeah, that's it. I mean, like you said before, we were talking about the pit stop length. You know, if you can stay out for as long as possible or just save as much fuel as possible, even if you pit at the same time as the guy that you're racing in the race, there on the circuit, effectively, as long as you can just take a little bit less fuel than them, then that's just any sort of advantage you can gain, isn't it, in the pits? It all adds up and it all makes a difference. Great shot back here from the Lamborghini. You see the 3M branding as well. Makes one hell of a noise, does that 5.2 litre V10. Unfortunately for me, none of them at Alton Park today, but there were a few Audi R8, so similar noise. But this is quite a long train still of all these cars. You can see the numbers on their windscreens where they all started this lap, a little bit jumbled up, but to be honest, with how long a lap is here at Circuit de la Sarthe, it's not often that those numbers are all in the correct order when we see him at this bit. Yeah, Leon Penn's just working his way past Mark Woodhouse. That was Reece Carroll that we were on board with as well. So yeah, that's Mark Woodhouse just losing a couple of positions on this lap. And it's worth pointing out, looking at that lead gap, by the way, it's now down to 7.7 seconds now for that lead gap. So Thompson, McEwen, are gaining on Senturk. It's fluctuating throughout this particular lap, but I'm looking at the lap time. Selim Senturk, a 52.9 was his last lap. He's going to be coming across the line very shortly. The last lap for Josh Thompson was a 51.4. I mean, that's sensational. They're coming to, in fact, they're going to pit. So Thompson, McEwen, and Lesmallman and Senturk are all pitting. This is the time. This is when we're going to get that pit party. Yep, certainly is. This is pretty much last gasp for these guys now in saving the fuel. There's that very subtle horn on the way into the Circuit de la Sarthe pit lane that we all know and love. And everybody comes to us. So look at that on the way in, fantastic. So you can hear the popping and the crackling and banging of all the Lamborghinis and everything on the pit limiters. They make one hell of a noise on the pit limiter as well, those Lambos. You can hear drivers changing up and down gears, just trying to get those extra few kilometres an hour that they can get away with. Everybody pulling into their individual boxes. What a fantastic shot this is as well. Absolutely love that. It's almost like we have our drone camera floating above. And now everybody filtering back out as well. So much on the timing screens will change here, but now we just have to give it maybe half a lap and just see how they filter back into place, Paul, and see how we're shaped up in the last 15 minutes.
Well, McEwen has got the jump of Thompson, is what we can tell you straight away. Thompson's got less movement with him, and everyone who hadn't pitted already has pitted on that lap, so it wasn't well and truly a pit party. It was that one, and it's almost like a reset, isn't it, for these drivers? You can try and get a little bit of an advantage across the line in the pit lane, and that's Thompson running very wide, and he got a slow down penalty. I thought he went wide there in Thompson at Tete Rouge, and it's so easy to pick up a slow down penalty, and that is going to hurt him all the way down to the first chicane.
Yeah, it is indeed, and that's not the place you want to slow down at all. I mean, to be fair, Circuit de la Sarthe is so harsh with slowdowns as well, because with the high-speed nature of this circuit, a really high average speed around here, it is so painful when you have one of them, because iRacing does make you give up quite a bit of time, and especially at the speeds you're doing here, this is a very momentum-based circuit. We look here, though, fantastic battling going on down the straight once again. I wish I could tell you who it is, but it's the first chicane. Eric Haag, thank you very much, Hugo, gives us the graphics on screen. That's the number 89 machine from Parabellum Racing Team. I just thought it said paracetamol on the back on the rear wing earlier on. That definitely doesn't say paracetamol in front. That's Century Sim Racing's Pete Harrod in the Lambo. And it looks like he's even pulling away in a straight line. Then again, I think Pete's got a bit of slipstream of his own from Eric just in front of him.
And Adam Watson.
Yes, indeed. It's not just a single toe, is it? It's quite the train they're involved in here.
It is, certainly, as they go down onto the brakes into the Michelin chicane. Through the left, through the right, get on the power, use all the curb and then some on that final left. Use the hard shoulder of the public road as well as you go out of that corner. You've got to be careful though, that hard shoulder can be quite bumpy in places. It's not a smooth surface like the main road is at times, and down into the chicane, into the Mulsanne corner, should I say. Pete Harrod trying to go the long way around Eric Haag, and I think he's gone and done it, you know.
Yeah, he got quite a nice run using the wider line in the exit of Mulsanne. You can actually carry quite a lot of pace because you've got all the road on your outside to just get your foot down and let the car run wide. Bit of bump drafting going on there as well as they continue to scream their way down towards Indianapolis. I mean, even the group of cars in front of them as well sounding absolutely incredible. Pete getting a real good push now. Is the Audi going to move over to the right-hand side and try and go down the inside to Indy? Be a bit silly to try and move over when you're that close to the back of the car in front. We've seen it before affect people badly, but the number 45 machine of Philip Koenig just sticks behind Pete for now. Maybe just hoping that he can push him to that group in front, Paul, because they seem to be holding themselves up a little bit, don't they?
Certainly is, as they go through Arnage, and there we see one of the Simmortal cars of Michael Blake. There's Adam Watson making his way past. Now they're not teammates on track, but they are out of the same outfit in Team Mad, and Adam Watson is looking forward now. He's trying to gain the positions, and Luke McEwen has made the move on Selim Centre. So what has happened to Selim on this lap? Because he had a big lead before they came onto pit road. Selim, I can tell you, had a 5-second longer pit stop, and Luke, just down the inside, thank you very much, takes the lead of this race. Not bad, 25 places gained.
Epic stuff from Luke, but on that last lap he was 8 seconds quicker than Selim Senturk. Before that he was only, well, I say only, he was 3 seconds quicker on the previous lap, so I think maybe Selim's had a slowdown somewhere or some sort of issue
it's the pit stop
on that last one. But,
I mean,
yeah,
5
true.
seconds for the pit stop extra.
Ah, yeah, true,
Selim.
yeah, sorry, yeah, for some reason I thought there was another lap after the pit stops before this, but no, that's very true. That has made all the difference, hasn't it? That's pretty crazy, actually, that it was that much longer. Pretty much everybody else between 14, 15 and 16 seconds. Selim Senturk 19.2. Maybe he just wasn't confident enough in sort of short fueling it a bit and just filled it all the way to the brim.
Well, don't forget as well, he's pretty much sat at the front of the field since lap 1, since the end of lap 1, so he's been forging a path of his own. He's been using more fuel by doing that. He's not been sat in a slipstream with somebody else. Even if you've got somebody behind you, that gives you a little bit of an effect, having a car behind you to help you, because it helps with the deflection of the air off of the rear of your car, and so it can actually help you fuel save that way as well to a degree. Not as good as following the car in front of you. Michael Blake, by the way, starting to go side by side with James Whitehouse, and nicely through into that chicane and out again. But now James Whitehouse in that Lamborghini, and he's also got Philip Koenig, who we've seen is last of the late breakers in the Audi. He's behind as well as they head towards the Michelin chicane. And I think Michael Blake's a little bit of a sitting duck in that Porsche.
Yeah, just a little bit. The Porsche hasn't always been the strongest in a straight line. We were talking about it in race 1. They're very close to contact as they come down to the chicane. Michael just slots in second in this train right now. And there are drivers, aren't there, that's just, no matter what's going on around them, they're just still continuing to move forward. There's just certain sections of this field that tend to overlap every so often. Pete Harrod having a really, really good run of it. Sorry, James Whitehouse it is, isn't it? Pete Harrod's a couple of cars back at the back of this one. Got the wrong Century Lamborghini there, but still, both of them in the quartet. Still, Michael Blake sits behind. Even when he had the slipstream and still pulled out to the left-hand side there, though, Paul, he wasn't able to match the pace, was he?
No, as there's James representing the Springboks, as always, from Century Sim Racing in Warrington. I'm sure I'm due a free go there with the amount I've mentioned his venue in Warrington. But there goes Michael Blake, then got the slipstream from the Lamborghini down towards the chicane, towards Indianapolis, should I say. Adam Watson is moving forward as well in all of this. And look at that, round the outside. Philip Koenig says, well, we've seen people go around the outside of the right-hander, now we've had one round the left-hander.
Yeah, indeed, he's trying it at Arnage as well. Nope, doesn't quite work there. Now Michael Blake's got the run as well. And maybe Jim's just communicating to Pete Harrod there, saying, go on, Pete, get him. Fetch. But to be honest, there's a bunch of cars even joining on from that. And that would be
Volkovic and Hard.
Yeah, so not two drivers that you want to sort of linger around with, to be honest with you. They will certainly not give you a second chance, that's for sure. They'll be ready to push and make moves of their own, but great to see that the field doesn't spread out in these sorts of races, and that's always something we can commend the World GT Championship on, isn't it, Paul? Over the seasons we've commentated on it, even races with pit stops in, they just never spread out and get boring. There's always battles going on. It's great.
As they carry on then, looking further forward, Reece Carroll and Adam State have changed positions. Adam State, I believe, is onto pit road. He is onto pit road. Well, this is a second pit stop. He took a pit stop early in the race, of course, at the end of lap 1, had damage from that incident down at Indianapolis, of course. So he's headed down there. Mike Horder is also onto pit road for a second time in this race, so not being a day to remember for those two. I don't think you could get much closer to the garage wall there as well, as Josh Thompson makes it past Selim Senturk, and Senturk has actually moved over for Marvin Lesmorman. I'm wondering if he's thinking, you know what, I'm a top pro-am here, let's just give it a good go and get going. My timing screen's showing David Baker having an issue out there and has dropped down a couple of places.
Yeah, he's still
Rouge. He's still going though.
Yeah, he's still dropping down a little bit for me as well. I'm wondering whether he might have just maybe got to slow down at the start of the lap and then had a bit of a tough time serving it coming down the hill, or is he... the back end's gone. Back end has gone, and oh, that's actually quite a big hit with the wall. But great quick recovery from Dave, though. Very, very sudden. And here we go. He's actually now got Simon Field just around him. Oh, side by side on the exit. Oh, it is, yeah.
Carroll in 8th.
Sorry, yeah, this is just ahead.
Yeah, Ross McFarlane, who's lost touch with Thompson and McEwen. And he's having to get help from his 3M compatriot from Pure Sims. Reece Carroll down into the Michelin chicane. I hope they're talking to each other. Yep, there you go. Just a little dab of the brakes. Oh, down the inside! Good grief! Are you going to get that stop, Simon? That's I think, well, he did make the corner eventually, but not in the ideal line.
No, that was that was a massive send by Simon Field. You've got to admire the courage on that. Not sure whether it was a mistake or just pure gutsy, but it was very entertaining no matter what. So thank you very much for your services to entertainment, Simon Field. Look at that moving around there just before they get into the braking zone. And again, so close to each other. Now, what I dislike about this battle is we've got two cars that are technically number 26. We've got the 026 and the 26. That makes my blood boil to absolute boiling point, genuinely. Like, really upsets me. Still, I'm going to push past it because now they're starting to separate, and that makes me a little less worried about it. Reece Carroll is definitely not separating from the back of Leon Penn, though. They are glued together. Look at these pair. The brake discs glowing down this straight. He must have really hit Amada to Mulsanne. Again, just backing off slightly, working together on the way into Indianapolis. And all of a sudden, Paul, we've got 5 minutes of this race left. I can't believe how quickly these fly by. I forgot about it.
Yeah, these races do fly by. It's been absolutely sensational stuff here in the World GT Championship. Pleasure to have you all along with us here today. It's Luke McEwen who's leading this one, but only just ahead of Josh Thompson, with Marvin Lesmorman in 3rd place. He topped Pro-Am. Selim Center, who had led most of this race, had the Young Turk, but has gone down to 4th place, but still comfortably in top Pro-Am. Simon Field is his 2nd place Pro-Am in 8th place, with Chris Van Den Ness 3rd place in Pro-Am in 10th overall. James Whitehouse is your top AM driver. I was about to say he was in 13th, but he's now 14th. He's just lost a place to Adam Volkovich. Your next AM, you've got to go all the way back to... Well, where's Michael Blake? He's disappeared further down.
Blake's
he has.
22nd.
Yeah, so Jack Belton has actually made it past Michael Blake in all of this action. So Belton is his 2nd place AM driver in 21st, and Michael Blake, 22nd, 3rd place in AM.
Yeah, indeed. So quite the gap at the moment for James Whitehouse,
well,
and he can be quite comfortable.
This is going to be close as to whether we get another lap or not.
It is, yeah. You're right, actually, because they just crossed line with, what, 2 or 3 seconds to go over what would be a lap?
Well, it'll be good luck, everybody. We'll have to wait and see until the very end as to whether we get a checker flag or a white flag
Let's see if
from
Barney's
those
on his
drivers.
terms. See whether Barney can be bothered to wave it or not. We've had... He didn't wave the green before for us, and then I think it was on Pesk on Saturday. Actually, no, it was actually Silverstone. Barney didn't wave a flag for the entire meeting Silverstone in Pesk. So I've had my doubts about old Barney recently. I think his Twitter fame's gone to his head. Either way, Luke McEwen and Josh Thompson having a great scrap out front. This could still go either way, though, here, Paul, because either one of them could be holding back. But Les Mollman's not disappeared.
Yeah, he has not gone away, that's for sure, and he's doing the right thing right now for me. I think he's holding a position which, again, as per the first race, he was in a position to think about, well, if something happens to those two in front, then I've got myself a race win here. So he doesn't want to push too hard, but he wants to be close enough to take advantage of anything that happens here. But we're in that situation again where you've got to choose where and when you can get to the front. Now, Luke McEwen, sensational drive from him all evening once again. I mean, last week's endurance race was just one of the best drives I've seen in this championship. It really was. Just the level of dominance that he had over the rest of the field was just unbelievable. He's worked his way through the field here in this race. He's now found himself in the lead of the race, 0.3 of a second ahead of Josh Thompson. Now, is Josh going to try the long way around, heading into Mulsanne corner? We've seen this once before from him. Luke's taking his line, and Josh is sitting right behind. He's not making any move. We've got 1.5 minutes remaining in this race, and they're at Arnage. Still a bunch of time here, and we're looking at Barney. We're waiting to see what is the flag that's going to be shown next time.
Hugo, I love you. That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Great sense of humour from Hugo Louise on the cameras here. Getting ready. Barney was staring right down that camera as well, almost like he knew he was being watched. But someone who's being watched right now is Luke McEwen, and he's being watched incredibly closely by Josh Thompson. Right into the Porsche curves, flooring it through there, in towards the left. I think Josh is expecting a run out of the left-hander before the Ford chicane here. I think he's ready to get this BMW hooked up. Look at that, right on the curb on the right-hand side. I don't know if we're going to get another one, though, Paul. I think we might, you know.
We are. I think we are going to get another lap here. There's 42, 41, 40 seconds as we're heading towards, through Corvette and heading towards the Ford chicane. Josh Thompson, he has been pushing Luke McEwen on this lap. The pace that these two have over everyone else is absolutely sensational. The white flag is in hand, and it is one more lap to go. He can't be bothered to wave it, can Barney? And Luke McEwen, now is that a slowdown penalty, or is that tactical?
For how much time he's given up, I think that's definitely a slowdown penalty, Paul. I think if he wanted to just get behind Josh, he'd be right with him there. But yeah, I tell you what, Barney, you're not getting paid for tonight, Barney. Honestly, that was pathetic. Stared right down our camera. Now the session has turned to obviously being white flag. We know this is definitely the last lap. No help from you, Barney. But yeah, I'd say, Paul, that was definitely a slowdown. Luke has given up more than I think he would have done if he wanted to just let Josh slip in front, because he knew that he would have to get in the slipstream. Right now, he's not going to get much from here, but look behind him. Les Moulman's going to get some, isn't he?
Yeah, he is loving this, is Les Moulman. I mean, Luke McEwen will be getting the slipstream down the straight here. You get about two seconds or so is where the slipstream does go back to down the straight. So Les Moulman is right there. He's ready to pounce. He can smell at least a second spot. And Josh Thompson right now, he needs to use that BMW's advantage. And the advantage that it's had, it seems, all the way through this evening has been in that there's out of corners, out corner exit, and the sort of faster corners as well, the Porsche curves. Yeah. That is where it's really had its advantage.
I'm watching Marvin Les Moulman's camera right now on the Zoom call, and he's chattering away and he's laughing and he's smiling. He's sort of shaking his head forward, saying, "Come on, come on," shouting at his little Audi, and it's great to see. He's loving it as well. He's looking over. He knows he's on stream now. Even Adam Watson's doing a bit of a karting tactic and sort of leaning forward in his seat on his camera as well. But this is great. I'm watching all the guys right now, loving the race. But this is awesome to see Les Moulman sticking with these guys. Like you said, Paul, their pace is absolutely insane, and Les Moulman's been able to match them here. Yes, with a bit of slipstream, but that's just part of the race. Josh Thompson still has a bit of a healthy gap, but I think with these two straights left to go now, Luke McEwen is at a big advantage with the amount of slipstream he's about to get.
Josh Thompson holds the fastest lap, a 3 minutes 50.5 compared to Luke McEwen's 3:50.9 in this race. Down towards the run towards Indianapolis for the final time. The three leaders are covered by 0.8 of a second right now, and it's McEwen who's looking dangerous. He's looking to the inside of the right-hander. Thompson is going to try and hang it out around the outside into the left of Indianapolis. There's still side by side a wiggle from Thompson. Les Moulman, he just can't quite take advantage. Thompson's compromised into Arnage. That's going to ruin his run out of the corner. This is the last opportunity now for Josh Thompson. He's going more defensive. Luke McEwen, he's just holding his line. He's keeping it together down towards Porsche curves for the final time. And Thompson is not close enough. Now, can he get closer going into the Porsche curves? That BMW has been strong through here compared to those mid-engine Audis and Lamborghinis. Through there, the speed that they're carrying is sensational.
Oh, no.
Thompson's got a wiggle on. He's got a wiggle on. This is Les Moreman's opportunity. He's on the inside. No, he's had to back out of it. He almost made contact there between the two of them. But look forward, because it's the man who has signed for Team Redline this week. He has changed teams, and what a drive it's been from both races for Luke McEwen. Out the final corner, he comes across the line. Another race win in the World GT Championship for Luke McEwen. Brilliant stuff there from the top three. Marvin Les Moreman, he gave it his all as well towards the end there. Plenty more battling going on. I see Adam Watson, Simon Field and Philip Koenig are still battling. Simon Field's on for a very good result. Selim Senturk, worth pointing out, led the majority of the race. Ends up in fourth place and big contact. Simon Fields is around. Can he get going again? Well, he's lost a bunch of places there.
And Jim Whitehouse is just crossing the line as well here, Paul. He's taken the win, and that was the AM class win for him. Just quick sort of fist pump in the air, and he's doing it even more. He's loving that. Absolutely really over the moon with that is James Whitehouse. And I mean, he said earlier in the YouTube chat, didn't he, that in this championship it's phenomenal because you could drop to last place on lap one almost, have loads of contact and still finish P25 and second in class. What a great race once again though. So much going on there, and Luke McEwen absolutely nailed that at the end. However, I must say, I think there was a little bit of contact with him and Josh into Indy. I think just both the front ends collided, which is what put Josh sideways, and I think that upset the car a little bit later into Porsche curves as well, if there was a tiny bit of damage on it. But it was the tiniest of touches though, nothing untoward there. That was just hard racing.
It was certainly hard racing. And, well, this championship, it keeps on delivering here, does the World GT Championship. We're getting the final few cars across the line here. Maciej Sakovic has had a bit of a mare out there. He's just coming across the line right now, but he's in 36th as he comes across. There's a few more. Andy Gilmore, Lars Van Rijn, Toby Ward and Andy Archer are going to be the last cars to come across the line here today. I mean, Chaz, what a round you got to come aboard and to commentate on.
Oh yeah, absolutely phenomenal. You know what, since we did the first feature races together in this championship, I remember them being at Interlagos a couple of seasons ago, we've both known how fantastic this format is. You know, this is one of the best things the World GT Championship has done in a while, is have these feature race formats, because we get the sort of semi-endurance racing aspect that we get out of the enduro races, but we get the sort of sprint race action as well, which is completely non-stop racing from the very get-go, and it is really, really good fun to watch. Drivers still have to deal with every single element that you would get across both formats at either end of this, and it's so much fun. Look at Barney there. Look how arrogantly he stood there. I'm not waving this flag. No flags for you. But it's, yeah, what an amazing round. And you know what? As soon as we were talking about it the other day and the fact that I was going to jump on to do this one, the fact that you said it was at Circuit de la Sarthe really sold it to me. We have never had a bad meeting here at Circuit de la Sarthe in the World GT Championship. It was absolutely phenomenal once again. Hats off to everybody involved.
Absolutely sensational stuff. Here then is your unofficial race results, pending any post-race penalties, of course. Luke McEwen, half a second just under in the lead for the Team Redline driver, ahead of Josh Thompson with the Was Cooking by 3M outfit. Marvin Les Moreman, third place, a really, really good result for him after a bit of a bad race he had in race one. Good recovery drive from him to finish third in race two. Your top Pro-Am, Selim Senturk for Team Year 1. He is fourth place overall, ahead of Ross McFarlane, Reese Carroll. Great debut from Reese, a fourth and a sixth place in the two races here today. Leon Penn in seventh, ahead of Chris Van Den Ness, who finished second in Pro-Am for Evo SR. Adam Watson and Philip Koenig round out your top 10. David Baker then in 11th, ahead of Pete Harrod. Mark Hutchinson rounds out the Pro-Am podium in 13th place, ahead of Paul Webster and Simon Field. The Century Sim Esports driver James Whitehouse, 16th place, your top Am in this field. utterly delighted with how his races went today. Eric Haag, Christian Rose, Tom Brown and Adam Volkovic down to 20th place. Jack Belton is the second placed driver for the Audi Sport Slovakia KES LLM team, ahead of Michael Blake in the Immortal outfit, third place in AM in 22nd place. Adam State ahead of Jesse Payne-Wilkins with Alex Neller, Brendan Stacey, Jack Osborne, Kevin Kittleman, Christian Malsharek and John Roberts rounding out the top 30. Tim Perry in 31st then, ahead of Felix Elsner, with Mark Woodhouse, Nick Salapoutis, who again had a solid drive, plus 3 places for Nick. In 34th place, Magic Sakovic ahead of Adam Hedgecock, Andy Gilmore, Lars Van Rijn, Toby Ward and Andy Archer rounds out your top 40. Mike Horder then is 41st ahead of Rhys Saunders, who did not finish, Simon Neller, James Crouch, Michael Avdurka, Jensen Adriansons with that scary accident that he had, bouncing back onto the track, ends up in 46. Ben Gregory and Lee Berridge round out your 48 cars. Josh Thompson with the fastest lap as well on lap 9. We had a sensational evening of racing there. Chaz Barney, well, he's not done a lot up on that flag stand, but he's overseen some sensational racing here today.
Yeah, it looks very calm for a man that's just watched the racing that we have, to be honest with you. That was absolutely brilliant once again. I'm sweating buckets here. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to wear such a thick, big, beautiful hoodie tonight. But wow, I am absolutely boiling hot. It was great, though. Absolutely great. And it just goes again to show me that, you know, I can't catch all of the broadcasts as they go on each season, but the World GT Championship never changes. You know, it's fantastic battling. Great drivers up at the top end. Amazing battles and so many mixed up orders in the midfield as well. You know, it's really, really enjoyable in that aspect. Because while we do speak about the difference in pace from one end of the field to the other, there's always a massive mix in the middle, and some people just surprise you at certain circuits and have fantastic pace over the course of a night. I love this championship, and that will never change. You know, no matter how sort of less involved I am with it as it goes on, I will always be in love with this championship, and the guys that run it are all a fantastic bunch as well, and it just carries on delivering, doesn't it, mate?
We're just keeping an eye out for if we can have a word with Josh Thompson, the winner and second place today. But you know, let's talk about Josh and Luke as well. I mean, Josh, first race worked out absolutely superb. That move towards the end, towards the very end of the race, was sensational. But then being able to work his way through, and he was almost working together with Luke McEwen out there in that second race, just working their way through the field to manage to get themselves to the front of the field. That shows what you can do if you have the right approach going through that championship.
Yeah, definitely, and I think drivers that they know they have similar pace. You know, people like Josh and Luke, they know what sort of level they're on. They know that they are some of the fastest guys in the championship. Not in an egotistical way, but you know, you just got to have that confidence. And I think they know that whatever happens in those packs, they're going to probably end up going through it together and be at the front end together when it all settles down. So to work with each other and push through the traffic like that, it's the best call for them, because they can both sort of predict what each other are going to do, rather than just be amongst a load of other drivers that they might not know as well. So if they can just work together as that little pair, they can get themselves out of the trouble and then have their own fight and their own race. And that's exactly what they delivered for us tonight. It was absolutely awesome. And again, reflects the sort of Williams eSports performances we saw in the BMW Z4s a few years ago, where they would push together as one unit, and then as soon as it came to it, entertainment time, full-on racing. And even though they're in two different teams, these lads, you know, like we said with Josh and Ross McFarlane before, the respect there on the track is fantastic.
Well, what I can tell you as well is it's also going to be a little tip of the hat to Jack Belton. 27 positions gained in that race, finished second in AM, and brilliant stuff from Jack to work his way through and to get that second place in AM. It's days like this where you can really make or break a championship, or even if you're having a bad championship, can really turn things on its head.
Well, let's not forget as well that the points in this championship are given out for overall position, not position in class as well. So, you know, there's nothing wasted by, if you're an AM and you finish 8th and then the next AM is 16th, that is a humongous advantage for you. You know, it's not like you've just scored 10 points and the next guy scored 8, for example. You know, every position matters in this championship, and I think that's one of the other things that keeps it entertaining, keeps it really mixed up. I mean, we saw the championship standings at the beginning of the broadcast. We've been studying the sheet as the night goes on just to see how it might affect things as we get to the sharp end. It's been incredible, absolutely incredible, and very, very close once again. It's really, really showing how competitive this series is time and time again. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah, and to give point to that, we mentioned it last week, but Paul Webster at the Hungaroring, a Pro-Am, was the highest scoring driver of the whole round. So anyway, we'll just wrap things up because unfortunately we are running out of time here. But Chaz, I mean, you know, welcome back. It's a one-time commentary for you, but just final thoughts about tonight.
Again, World GT Championship, Circuit de la Sarthe feature races. Perfect combination, if you ask me, for this series. It's been great to be back on RaceSpotTV. Great to join you in the box again, Paul. We always have a good laugh with it, and my horrendous puns will stay away now for a long time for you, as I'm sure you'll be grateful for. And it's, yeah, just all again been one fantastic night, and it really does make me miss this championship even more. And make me sort of resent my commitments elsewhere. But either way, thank you for having me, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope you've all enjoyed it as well. Hope I've not bored you too much.
Well, I can tell you that next week, more sport for 3 sprint races. Peter Mackay's coming back for that one. I mean, that's going to be carnage and chaos, if you ask me. But that is, I'm afraid, all that we've got time for here today. It's been a sensational evening's racing, once again, from Circuit de la Sarthe here in the World GT Championship. That's been Chaz Draycott, Paul Smith and Hugo Luis behind the scenes on the cameras. And until next week in the World GT Championship here on RaceSpotTV, it's goodbye.